As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Wow. Oh, what is this? Wait. Hold on here.
Whoa!
Special of crunch time? Are we joking here? I mean, we got Jeff, Booner, Lukas Klotz, and Caleb Czarnik who'll be joining in a second. Hey, I sense a big show ahead. This is a big.
Hey, what a happy Halloween, boys! Huh?
Happy Halloween, boom.
This is a massive show here. I mean, the vibes are good. I mean, we got 3 just incredible costumes. And you know what? We actually have a guest today, and it's his first time ever joining the show.
Never met this guest before. It should be interesting.
Peter Bukowski.
From the other side, too. He's a journalist, isn't he?
Well,
yeah.
he hosts Lockdown on Packers, and he's never joined the show. So he's going to join the show, and he's going to see us. This is what he's going to see. This is going to be his first impression. You know what they say about first impressions? They're important. This is a hell of a first impression.
Shout out Peter. He's coming into enemy territory today. Detroit Lions versus Packers. All right. Ready to put a little smackdown on the boys, huh? Come on.
Yeah, you're not going to like Fred Flintstone over there. Yeah, like that.
I'm asking all these serious football questions, like, you know, the Packers and their you know, Jordan Love, his ability to throw the football, and I'm just sitting here with dressed like, I mean, look at this.
I've got a dog bone with me.
You're just like talking down on Jordan Love, how he stands no chance against the Detroit Lions defense.
Yeah,
Lions team. And we're all in these costumes.
Yeah, this is. He's. I mean, you got to think though, Booner. Lucas is Buzz Lightyear, so you know.
Yeah,
you got
am I tripping out right now?
I think your mic's acting up a little bit.
It sounds like that man's literally in space right now.
Oh, is it that bad?
No, dude, it is like you're like talking 100 miles an hour. It's like, dude, it's like
it's the costume.
Hey, we're calling from planet. I don't know what planet, but we're calling from a different planet over here. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
missile incoming. I thought my headphones were all messed up because of my costume or something. And it's just Klotz. He's really playing the part over there as Buzz Lightyear.
You're saying it's like fast too?
You're fast. It's static. It sounds kind of wild.
Buzz Lightyear-esque, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like you're setting your. Like, I feel like you did this on purpose.
Coach Wong says, "I thought Lucas was a life-size condom."
Not funny. Not laughing. Not funny.
Yeah, and then Tyler says Jeff is the Tiger King Joe Exotic. I mean, you know what? I mean, that is fair.
What's crazy is before the show, Jeff had the hood off. It was like, I'm gonna go no. We're all in on this one. If I've got this, you've got that, brother.
Yeah.
Well, I was so close to buying. There was a Sonic costume, and it was for kids. And I sat there for probably 5 to 10 minutes staring at it, like, I wonder if I could fit into this kid's Sonic costume. Like, I was like, I wonder if I could do it. And I was like, I just stood there looking at it for so long.
The costume, Boone. The kid that could use that wouldn't be fair.
I mean, what's going on?
We gotta have Lucas like reconnect.
You've got to like go out, dude. I mean, you got to listen back to this. It sounds like you're like talking in hyperspeed.
Listen to the show, you'll know. You'll know. You got to think he's Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? He's got to. He's up in space. He'll be all right. He'll be back in a couple minutes here. Yeah. I mean, what an entrance. I mean, this is incredible. We got a lot to get to today, like I said earlier. We got a guest coming on. Can't wait for that. Hell of a first impression. I
hope he doesn't mind. What if he shows up in a costume?
What if he shows up as Fred Flintstone?
Oh, that'd be a problem. One of us can be Fred Flintstone.
You see how many people dressed as Dan Campbell this year?
That was going to be. I texted you guys to say I'm going to dress up as Dan Campbell, and then I was like, I feel like everyone's doing that. I feel like I could dress up like Dan Campbell on any other Sunday I want to. So I mean,
that's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I can do Fred Flintstone, Dan Campbell. I can throw out the grit hat.
I like Fred. He like it. Diggity Dog says Booner's definitely more Barney than Fred.
I think this is actually a Bam Bam costume, to be honest. If I'm being completely honest, I think on the thing it said Bam Bam.
Yeah, Bam Bam, and and Tigger. A throwback. This is Winnie the Pooh here. I mean, we got Winnie the Pooh chilling behind me. I mean, this is as legit as it can get here. But like I mentioned, we got Peter Bukowski joining the show. He's very, very incredible at what he does, man. And he's very opinionated, so can't wait to get him on. We'll talk more Packers Lions today. And then later in the show, we'll kind of address what I put out a video earlier. It's Adam Schefter joining Get Up today and talking about two guys that are on the Lions' radar, two guys that could be moved, two edges. And one of them is already who we talked about, Zadarius Smith. There's another one. If you guys don't know who it is, we'll talk about it later. Also, Klotzy's debuting his segment today. It's going to be Klotz's watch list. And he's going to look at opposing teams every week and give you guys some players on the other side of the other side. This week will be the Packers that can cause some problems. So that'll be a lot of fun. And Tom Grossi, he has been it's the same.
It's about the same, brother. Hey, I'm pumped for Klotzy's. I'm pumped for Klotzy's segment. To be honest, there was a little work in progress with it today. I think we fixed all of the kinks in the segment. I think it's about to be an absolute electric segment here. Klotzy has for the people. There was a couple things to work out and we figured it out. And now, hey, I think Klotzy has something. I think he has something here. I love new segments.
He's got something here. We've been wanting Klotzy to do a ball door segment. So this will be a good one today. Did you see Jared Goff today? NFC Offensive Player of the Month.
Yes, sir.
We're talking Jared Goff, NFC Offensive Player of the Month. And this is every player. And this has to do with the obvious here, with what he's done with the passer rating, the completion percentage. He's been, and even in a game versus the Titans, in which he didn't have to do much, he still threw 3 touchdown passes and had like 3 incompletions. Well deserved by Jared Goff.
I mean, Jeff. I said guys. I thought the fellas were on the show.
Yeah,
yeah, guys.
Yep.
That's all. It's just the fellas. No, yeah. It's big time. It's like he had honestly his last 4 or 5 game stretch is historic. We've never seen. Bryce Young robbed for sitting the bench. That's funny. We have never seen like in NFL history. Like some of the things he's done is unbelievable. And then as well as like on top of that, hey Jeff. The man caught a touchdown pass too. He caught a touchdown pass. Like it wasn't like he was just out. He's doing everything, and the Lions have not been losing. I just want to go to his game log real quick. All right, the game log's not popping up on ESPN. Yeah. I've been figuring this out today. I don't know what's going on with ESPN, but when I'm trying to get my bets together for these Thursday night games, and I'm trying to do it, I need to make sure I didn't have my bets up. Like I need to see game logs. ESPN, what are we doing here? Trying to cook a little something up. All right. So the last couple games, Jeff, 12 for 15, only 3 incompletions, 22 for 25, 3 incompletions, 18 for 25, 7, 18 for 18, 18 for 23. Like this man is on a 5-game stretch that just like most quarterbacks, 90% of quarterbacks in their NFL career probably won't even have one of those games. Like that, like that's the crazy thing. And you're starting to see people, which is cool for Jared Goff. You're seeing guys like Bill Belichick, just like big names in the media right now who are coming out and just basically essentially saying like, I have not seen a quarterback play like this since like Tom Brady. You saw who did Mike Gruden who did Gruden compare him to? Was it Joe Montana or something? Like just an insane name. And like it's crazy that there were actually people who wanted to move on from Jared Goff at times in the offseason after the first 2 or 3 game stretch. People who were calling for Hendon Hooker and saying, hey, we don't need to extend. This man is literally having one of the best stretches of football as a quarterback in NFL history. And it's not like a fluke either. Like he has done stuff like this over the last few years. So I think it's a well-deserved award. Like no one else should have gotten it. If someone else, and I'll tell you what too, and I'm gonna have a bone to pick with the NFL. And if Roger Goodell wants to have a conversation with me, I know it's pretty intimidating right now in my Bam Bam suit. But if Roger Goodell wants to have a conversation with me, there's no reason Brian Branch shouldn't have been NFC Defensive Player of the Week. They had Xavier McKinney. Go compare the numbers, please. I would love someone to. Actually, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, cause Xavier McKinney, right? Is that who got it?
Xavier McKinney got it.
Yeah, what is he leading the league in interceptions?
I saw a tweet and I don't remember where it was. I need to go back. Over the last.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney's been balling out.
So right here, devoted to Detroit. I can just share. We're good with devoted to Detroit, right? Good people.
Yeah, of course.
I
He's
think
cool.
they do a good job. I follow them. Great job.
Oh,
All right,
shit.
you can put this up whenever you want.
Hold on. I mean,
Whoa!
no. Caleb's not going to just pop in and
Whoa!
just have that on here, and we're not going to bring him in immediately like this.
Whoa!
Caleb, what?
Hey guys, happy Halloween. How are we feeling today?
I mean, this.
How are you feeling?
I mean, this is
I
incredible.
feel great. I feel awesome.
A little colorful over there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Little improvising, they say.
Yeah,
I didn't have a Halloween costume. I had to go through everything I had at the house. This is what I had, and we're rolling with it.
Kind of love it.
It's like a cool. It's like kind of a cool like clown. Like you're kind of like you're a clown, but you're
Yeah,
also
I'm just
kind of cool. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
How'd you guys get those cool backgrounds? You guys look awesome.
It's thank you. I trying to have a serious conversation. I just got this thing on my head, but you know what? You can go. It's in the settings, and you can hit virtual background. You can kind of mess with it a little bit. So we got a little creative here. You got a little creative here. You know, I got Winnie the Pooh behind me. We're having a good time.
I like
You
it.
know what I mean? We're having a good time. Let's. I want to see if Lucas, you going to be brought in. I want to see if Lucas, maybe we can check if his stuff's working here. Let's see. Klotz, you good?
Let's go, Lucas.
How's he doing? His mic's been acting. I don't even know if he can hear us right now. No, he can't. Can he?
That's an awesome costume, though.
No,
All right,
it's
we'll
not.
let him lock in. We'll let him lock in. Yeah, he's Buzz Lightyear. He's just all right. You can throw it up on the screen, Boone.
All right, so look at this, guys. And I thought this was interesting with the Brian Branch, because Brian Branch probably should have been defensive player of the month for NFC. So the Lions almost, and you could argue too, Khalif Raymond could have been special teams after the couple weeks he's had. But look at this. So this is devoted to Detroit. He said the same thing. Brian Branch should have won NFC Defensive Player of the Month. Brian Branch in October compared to Xavier McKinney, 3 games to 4 games. So Xavier, take all these stats into account. That Xavier McKinney has had one more game under his belt because the Lions had a bye. So he has one more game under his belt in that month. Brian Branch with 3 interceptions, Xavier McKinney 2. Brian Branch 4 pass deflections, Xavier McKinney 3. Brian Branch 1 forced fumble, Xavier McKinney 0. Brian Branch 2 quarterback hits, Xavier McKinney 1. 16 tackles to Xavier McKinney's 19. 46% completions allowed, percentage allowed to Xavier McKinney's 60%, and 79 yards allowed to his 122. So it essentially is all across the board, almost outside of maybe tackles, that you could sit there and say like, hey, Brian Branch easily had a better month. They've won all their games. They haven't lost. They have not just won their games, dominated in all these games. They've played some decent teams. Like, I don't see how Brian Branch didn't win NFC Player of the Month, defensive player. I guess I don't want it to take away from Xavier McKinney because he's been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable.
I mean, he has a case
For sure. I think the numbers are great both ways.
Do you think it hurts him? Not hurts him, I shouldn't say, but do you think it matters that the guy next to him also probably could have won NFC Defense Player of the Month?
About Kirby?
Yeah.
I feel like that should like state your case a little bit more, like make it a little bit more.
I mean,
because you have another guy putting up numbers next to you that's taken away from you, and you're still putting those up.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, I want to say, because I wasn't here for the Goff stuff, congrats to Goff. That's awesome. Well deserved. When it comes to Brian Branch, I think he's going to be in bigger conversations to end the year, like the Depoy conversation. I think he's going to be in contention for All Pro. Sucks that he didn't get it this month. Xavier McKinney had a great month. I think it was I think he has every game with an interception, maybe besides one. He's going to be someone we have to watch out for on Sunday. But yeah, sucks Branch didn't get it, but he's going to be in bigger conversations at the end of the year.
Let's get Klotz in here. I think he's all good. Klotz, you good?
Is audio better?
It's not glitchy.
Sounds like you're out in a spaceship in space somewhere, to be honest.
No, wait, keep talking, Klotz.
You still sound good. It just sounds a little, you sound a little out there.
I'll keep messing with it. You boys.
Now you're frozen.
Should I stay or no? I just don't want to sound like I'm in a tin can the whole time.
I mean, yeah, it's a little better. Yeah, it's a little better.
I'll keep messing with it. You guys do the side express for the.
Right.
You guys keep cooking. I'll be back.
Appreciate you, Klotzy.
All right, you know what? This is a perfect. I mean, Peter joined at a perfect time. I mean, he just did. I mean,
Halloween too. I mean,
Peter join when the vibes are the highest. And we're going to bring him on. If you guys don't know already who he is, he's going to help us here break down this upcoming game this weekend. He's the co-founder of the league, host of Locked On Packers and Locked On Sports Today. And that is Mr. Peter Bukowski. Peter, how you doing, my man?
No one said dress in costume. I would have stayed in costume. I had my kids out today. We were trick-or-treating. Like I had the costume on. I changed to come on here. What the hell?
That, you know what? That's on me.
Can we ask what you were? What did you dress up as this year, Peter?
Well, so I have a 4-year-old and a 16-month-old. So we were all characters from Paw Patrol.
Nice.
I was riders, but I had the hair was a little higher to like mimic the rider hair, like just right like that. And the vibes were high. It was a good time.
I love that. You know what? That's on me. I take the blame for that one, Peter. That's on me. I do want to pick your brain, man. You're the perfect guy to talk to here. Big game this upcoming weekend for the Lions and for the Packers. We think the two best NFC teams playing right now, with how each team is playing currently. I want your thoughts. We'll start with the quarterback, Jordan Love. He practiced today. Obviously, it looked like it was raining outside. That's probably going to be the case this weekend. Your kind of thoughts on whether he's close to, if not as much as he can be, to 100%, and your confidence that he'll go out there and kind of take care of business. What's your confidence in Jordan Love's health this week?
My understanding right now at this moment is that he's going to play, that the plan is that he will play. How much he can do, how much he can move, I think that's going to be a big question in the rain. You mentioned it. You know, practicing on Thursday in the rain, I think was a big vote of confidence for the team, given how much the risks increase of slipping and those kinds of things where you can all of a sudden slip and that groin injury, you know, you go into the splits a little bit and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's how you hurt your groin to start with. I think that tells you that he's in a good place right now. When you go back and you look at that week 4 game, Minnesota, he moved pretty well in that game. And that was off an MCL injury where we're talking about the stability of the leg. If he's practicing on Thursday in the rain, I think that's a pretty good indicator that he's going to be good to go, barring no setbacks, of course. Like we have to get to Sunday, that he's going to play. And then the question becomes, can they do the things offensively that they really want to do in this Matt LaFleur offense? Can they get to the under center play action game that has been so useful for this team over the last 2+ seasons? Can they get to some of those boots and rollouts? Can Jordan Love extend plays against pressure when the Lions bring extra bodies? I think that's going to be crucial in deciding how well the Packers can move the ball and ultimately who wins this game, because we saw against the Lions on Thanksgiving last year, Jordan Love, for most of that game, he played on time, but there were a handful of snaps, 5-6 plays where we saw him extend. He rolls to his right. He throws back across his body to Malik Heath or whatever it was. Those plays, that is part and parcel of the Jordan Love experience. If you don't have that, that's a major weapon that you're just missing from his game.
Right.
Yeah, and Peter, I do want to ask you, and I'm going to be honest. Hey, Peter, you caught us at a bad day with the Halloween stuff. Every time I see myself, I can't, I'm just like, I don't know if I could take myself serious. So I do appreciate you taking us serious today on this one day.
Well, we'll see.
It's tough. I do want to just ask you, because I noticed today at the practice report, it looked like Jair Alexander was not participating. Yeah. Just defensively, and with all, because you guys, the Packers have added some good pieces to this defense, and Jair Alexander obviously has been a piece for a while there. What is he going to play on Sunday? Like, what's going on with that injury? And then even on top of that, just like defensively, slowing down the Lions' offense. Obviously, the last few weeks, it's been, 40-something points per game over the last 3 or 4 weeks. What are your thoughts on them, and what do they have to do to be able to slow the offense down here?
Yeah, the Jair Alexander loss would be a big one. What was interesting is he looked like he felt something pull or tweak or whatever it was on the last defensive play of the game against the Jaguars. But then after the game, he's cheesing for the cameras. He's walking off. He's okay. Now, you don't know. It's Jair Alexander. Like, he's going to flex whenever he has an opportunity to flex. But was there swelling in the knee? We don't really know what the injury is at this point. It's a knee injury. They did some imaging, no major issues, but if there's swelling, if there's pain, you kind of just have to manage that right up until game time. He seemed to have a really good workout the morning of the Vikings game back in week 4, and he still couldn't go. And so I do wonder about that, though. I will say the Evan Williams injury, for Lions fans that are not familiar with Evan Williams, changed that, because when you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, 4 of the top 5 highest graded safeties in the league this year will be playing on Sunday. Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Xavier McKinney, and Evan Williams. Evan Williams is 5th of that group. And it's a pretty stacked safety room for both teams. The Packers are terrific at defending the middle of the field, 3rd in DVOA against the pass, defending the middle of the field, which is right where the Lions want to attack you with Sam Laporta, with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And we'll see what the Jameson Williams loss does to the way that they're able to impact the game against the Packers. I think what this means, regardless of whether or not Evan Williams can play, is Green Bay is going to be, because of the loss of Jameson Williams, is going to be able to play a lot of single high, which is what they want to do anyway. And that is how they take away the middle of the field. They get those extra bodies in the middle of the field and they muck things up. And Evan Williams has been a big part of that. If he can't go, they've got Javon Bullard, who's also played terrific football this season. He was the starter at safety. They had some injuries at corner. They moved Keyshawn Nixon outside. They moved Javon Bullard to the slot where he played at Georgia. And then they moved Evan Williams into that strong safety spot. So if Evan Williams, I think Jerry Alexander is a better player than Evan Williams, but I think Evan Williams in this game is actually a more important player for the Packers defense to be able to go.
What's going on, Peter? I look ridiculous. This single shot isn't great here. But I have a question more about, the whole season and the Packers as a team instead of really tomorrow. This is tough. I'm not going to lie.
It's tough representation of the Lions here. I mean,
Green Bay coming into the season, Green Bay had one of my favorite receiving cores in Wicks, Reed, Watson, and Dobbs. How important is it? Well, I said, they're probably 4 wide receiver 2s, and I think that's that's better than having a number 1 and then just a huge fall off there. How important is it for this young offense and these young receivers for them to be unselfish? And you haven't seen one of them come out and say, I want the ball more. I want more targets. How important is it as a team and for Jordan Love that these guys are playing unselfish? Some games Romeo Dobbs might have 4 targets. Some games he'll have 8 and you never hear him talk about it. How important is that for a young team?
Well, I don't want to add insult to injury on the clown costume currently, but Romeo Dobbs a couple weeks ago was suspended for a blow up that he got with the coaches for wanting the ball more. And so unfortunately, it is the case that there has been some of these issues. Now, Romeo Dobbs, the weird thing about all of this is that Romeo Dobbs, if you were to like have me put together a poll of the players most likely to get in a screaming match with Matt LaFleur over his usage, Romeo Dobbs would have been like 18th on the list. Like I would have picked backup running backs and 4th string tight ends before I would have picked Romeo Dobbs. So it is a little bit weird, but what's interesting is since then he's been a featured part of this offense and a huge useful part of the offense. Go back and watch them against Tennessee. And he was Derek Stingley one-on-one and they're just like, we don't care. We'll just throw it to 87 because he's going to be open. And guess what? He caught 5 or 6 just slants, just like you versus me kind of plays, man coverage, one-on-one. I'm going to take this down. And he did it. And I think, he is that guy in this offense. We just need you to win one-on-one guy. Dontavian Wicks can do that a little bit, but they usually like to use him in this schemed up role because he's better than Dobbs after the catch. They've got Christian Watson, who's that deep threat. And then they have Jaden Reed, who specials, reverses, end arounds, put him in the backfield like a running back, little crossing routes, and then he can be a deep threat from the slot. You mentioned the idea that, hey, everyone eats. This is the most egalitarian offense in the league, where it's just like 1 week it could be Dobbs, 1 week it could be Christian Watson, 1 week it could be Jaden Reed. And you didn't even mention Tucker Kraft. Lions fans got very mad at me before the season when I said the Packers with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, I would rather have that than just Sam Laporta. And look, I think Sam Laporta is an awesome player, but it was my faith in those 2 guys. And Tucker Kraft has really paid that off this year. He's been spectacular this season. I mean, he looks frankly like the second coming of George Kittle. I think both of them are really good. Don't get me wrong. I think Sam Laporta is an awesome player, but Tucker Kraft has really broken out in a way that even I would not have been like, yeah, I think he's going to be like the 3rd best tight end in the league this year. But I think you can make that kind of case for Kraft this season because of everything he does, run game and pass game.
And Peter, one last one for me here. The backfield for the Lions. All right, the deadly duo. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Dave Montgomery. We think, at least I'll speak for it. I think they're the best backfield in the league in terms of duo. You guys have a top 10 rush defense. It seems like the Lions and the Packers both hang their hat on that. What's kind of your, I guess, early thoughts on that matchup there on the road, especially in that type of weather, dealing with those two backs in the best offensive line in football?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a huge challenge for this defense. And Matt LaFleur talked about it, and he has a huge amount of respect for this offensive line, for this running game. David Montgomery, of course, his whole career, Packer fans have seen him, twice a year, every year for his whole career. I mean, that's a pretty rare thing for a guy to change teams, and you still have to see him twice a year because he stayed in the division, right? So the running game has been something that the Packers have given up some explosives. And I think that's going to be the key on Sunday is, if you're going to give up some of these runs where you get 5, 6, 8, that's fine. What you can't do is what happened last week. And Jahmyr Gibbs is a really explosive back. Like, he's going to get 70-yard runs. You can't have those. That's the key for Green Bay. And I think the Packers are going to play a lot of single high. Again, I mentioned no Jameson Williams. The reason Jameson Williams is so critical for this offense is he makes teams have to play you two high safeties. And then that makes the running game easier. That opens up the middle of the field, especially if you're playing cover 2. Like, hey, here's Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown in the middle of the field. Do you have a linebacker who can run and cover well enough to handle that? And most teams, the answer is just flat out no. So if the Packers are going to be able to play single high because Jameson Williams is not in the game, and we'll see, what happens next with Jameson Williams after this strange story with the gun in the car. It's not his car, but the police are investigating. I mean, we'll see. We don't know any of the details down pat for sure right now. So I'm not gonna speculate or make any sweeping generalizations about that. But he's not going to play in this game. We know that, and I think it does change the way the Packers can play the Lions. They have not been good, the Packers, stopping run offenses with 2 high safeties, but they have been really good stopping rush offenses with 1 high safety. And so I think that if they are able to play single high defense in this game, it is going to go a long way in slowing down this offense for the Lions. And remember last year, Thanksgiving, the last time these two teams played, the Packers pressured Jared Goff on over 40% of snaps. I believe they forced 3 fumbles. It might have been 2, and they only recovered 2 or whatever it was, but they were able to get after Jared Goff in that game with essentially this same group of guys. The Packers have not played as well this year as they did last year up front with just rushing 4. But I do think that is good muscle memory for this group. And Matt LaFleur was pretty out front saying the Packers have to pressure Jared Goff if they want to win. So we'll see what lengths they're able to go to make that happen.
Well, it's Rashawn Gary, dude. I mean, oh my gosh, he's a problem. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so then a lot of the defensive line there. I do want to just flip the sides.
Preston
of the ball
Smith
here.
got Penei Sewell last year for a sack fumble. So it's not.
I think that was the one that he had all season was him, which is brutal.
It's like a 31-year-old guy that's just a wily vet making a great play. And Preston Smith, I saw. I'm gonna forget his name. Russell Brown, is that his name? Shoot.
Yes. Russell Brown.
He's a Bears fan, and he's a great follow on Twitter. I'm sorry, Russell, that I couldn't remember your name there for a second. It's been a long day trick-or-treating with the kids. But he mentioned that the swim move last week, Preston Smith against the Jags, he hit it a couple times, that same swim move that he got last year, and he was this close to getting Trevor Lawrence. So he's starting to tune up a little bit. I think it's going to be a fun game this week to see what Jeff Iafrate does. Jeff Iafrate's never played this Lions offense, never played Ben Johnson, never faced Jared Goff. So it's a little bit of an unknown going up against what is a very much a known quantity. I think the most explosive, the most annoying offense to face from my perspective in the NFL right now. That's not Green Bay, is what's happening in Detroit, because this offensive line is just they're so freaking good.
Yep.
Yeah, and Peter, you said an annoying offense. I think the Packers have had a pretty good offense, especially Josh Jacobs. And he's been very good this year from at least the games that I've watched, and kind of going back and looking at this. What do you expect out of Josh Jacobs? Because obviously, like, the Lions run defense over the last about year and a half has been one of the best in the NFL. But the last 2 weeks, the Lions run defense has given up a lot. And it seems like that's maybe a way that the Packers will be able to take advantage of and get points up. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you see this offense kind of sticking with the Lions offensively?
Yeah, the Lions run defense 8th in DVOA this year. You mentioned a couple weeks ago I think they were top 5. I think they were top 3.
Yeah.
In run defense, and a lot of that is a credit to the way that they built this thing. I mean, Owen McNeil is a terrific player. They bring in DJ Reader and they have some depth up front. And so I think the Packers are going to have to run on the edges. I think that they've shown that they can do that. If you go back and watch that Colts game with Malik Willis, they attacked the Colts in every way you could possibly attack a team from a run defense standpoint. I mean, it was single wing high school stuff. And the Packers were able to install it in a week with a backup quarterback and just run the daylights out of the ball. So there is some similarities here with these two teams where you just go, if either one of these teams wants to just run it 40 times, they can probably put up 200 yards of offense. That's just the way that these teams are built. It's the way that these coordinators and play callers are able to call the game. And it's the quality of the backs that each of these two teams have. I mean, we saw the Packers. Chris Brooks is a name that Lions fans probably don't know. A lot of Packer fans don't know. Came in last week and gave them a bunch of really good reps, not just in the run game, in the passing game, in the pass block game, the protection game. And they just like, it doesn't matter. Next guy. Marshawn Lloyd, you draft him in the 3rd round. He can't play. He's hurt, been hurt all year. Next guy up, Emmanuel Wilson, undrafted free agent from a couple years ago. He couldn't really play last year because he didn't have the nuances of the game, wasn't quite big enough. He puts on a little bit of weight. All of a sudden, pass protection, he's almost better than Josh Jacobs at times this year. So the Packers can attack you in so many ways. And I think the 38-yard touchdown last week to tie the game for Josh Jacobs, that was one of those where, it's meant to go to the right side. And they pull the guard around Elton Jenkins, Pro Bowl caliber guard, and Josh Jacobs doesn't follow him. And he said after the game, like, if you don't follow the guy on a play like that, on a power pull play, you better score. Like, you better create an explosive. And he did. He made 2 guys miss, shrugged off a tackle, and it's a 38-yard touchdown out the gate. Those are the kinds of plays that Josh Jacobs can give you. We've seen David Montgomery make similar kinds of plays. I know that I've gotten killed from Lions fans before for some of the things that I've said about David Montgomery. I understand that. I think he's a good player. I think he's a nice player. I probably undersold the quality of David Montgomery over the course of his career. I will cop to that. But at the same time, I think the combination of those two guys is really what makes this Lions game special. And I think for the Packers, it's the combination of the play caller with the guys that you have. Jaden Reed can create explosives in this game. Christian Watson can create explosives in the run game. Emmanuel Wilson, I mentioned throwback screen against the Titans a couple weeks ago. They create an explosive that way. So it's 2 of the best, like 5 play callers in the game. And I think that makes running the ball easier because you're always going to get favorable looks in those situations.
Well, I'll ask you, Peter, to kind of close it out here. You got a score prediction? What's your score prediction for this Sunday?
Oh man, it's so tough right now because we don't know who's going to play. I like I said, I do believe Jordan Love is going to play. It's so like, if I thought Evan Williams was going to play, I would love to come on this show and predict the Packers to win. But I just can't do that right now. And it hurts me physically to do that. My fans are mad at me. I did a line Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover show, and I picked the Lions, and my fans are like, "Oh, you're the Locked On Packers guy. Like, how could you pick the Lions?" It's like, bro, I like to be right. That's the thing. Is I care about more about that than anything else. But I have said I think this is one of those like 27-24 kind of games, 30-27 kind of games. Yeah. It's going to be close. It's just hard for me right now to think that the Packers can get enough stops against this team when I don't know if Jair Alexander and Evan Williams are going to play. If you told me those guys are going to play and they're going to be something close to 100%, then yeah, I think that the Packers offensively can do a lot against this defense. I think they are one of the better teams equipped to attack this defense because when Jordan Love has time, he's gonna pick you apart. But I don't know that they're ideally set up right now to do that. So it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be an exciting game. If the Packers don't pee down their leg in special teams, it's gonna be a close game, and we'll see. But yeah, 30-27, that kind of thing. I think over. The over is like only like 46.5 or something like that. Like,
Hammer that over.
It's not as high as I would have thought it was, but I think I would take if I'm going to bet on one thing, I'm just going to take the over in this game and just enjoy it because I think that's where we are. But at the same time, like if it's 56 and rainy, I don't know, man. Like that's where things get crazy. If you're the favorite, you do not want rain. And for the Bears, geez, if for the Lions, I think that's the question that you have. Jared Goff, his little baby 9-inch hands, like, is he going to drop the ball once or twice? Like, I don't know. Like, that could be how the Packers get in this game. We saw again that Thanksgiving game. They got him on a couple sack fumbles. If it's raining and kind of chilly, that's the best case scenario for the Packers, because you might be able to create a sack fumble at the 20-yard line, and all of a sudden that's an easy way to score some points to even the score there. So that could be the difference in this one.
Yeah.
Peter, I say it all the time. One of my things in the NFL is win the turnover battle and you win the game. These two teams are the top two teams right now in the NFL in turnovers. So it's going to, whoever gets the most turnovers. I mean, we might see like 10 turnovers in this game, especially with the rain. Who knows? It's a thrilling game.
I hope not.
I hope not, but hey, it makes it for a little bit of a thrill.
Hey, Peter, we appreciate you. You guys can check out Peter at Peter_Bukowski on Twitter or X, whatever that you call. But Peter, we appreciate you, my friend. Good luck this weekend, and keep up the great work.
All right, guys.
There you go.
Appreciate it, Peter.
Appreciate Peter joining the program. I mean, he tried to take it as serious as he could. I mean, I'm in a Tigger costume, and you got Bam Bam, and you got a clown. With a cool clown.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It's hard to have legit sports conversations. I've watched a lot of sports shows today. Like, who was it today that had a Batman costume on ESPN? Drawing a blank.
I didn't see it. I don't know.
They're just. I mean, everyone was dressing up. Pat McAfee did his show in a polar or a panda costume for 3 straight hours, and it's so hard to keep everyone. So it takes everyone so serious.
You see,
Ryan we look good though.
I think so.
You see,
we look
Ryan
cool.
Is, Bill Belichick.
I did. That got a little controversial online. I saw. Got a little. I thought it was like. I mean, he did a great job. It looked like that was legit. Look like
Bill Belichick.
That was insane.
Let's see if Klotzy. Let's see how Klotzy's doing here. I think we should be all good if we bring in Klotzy. We're going to give this another shot here, and then we're going to get into Jordan Love. So stick around, because I do want your guys' thoughts on that. It looks like Klotzy's kind of.
I don't know if he's doing some like.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing that. Well, let's just get into it, guys, before I bring in Klotz. The Jordan Love stuff, he is a little banged up. He's dealing with that groin injury. He's expected to practice today. I will say this about Jordan Love. Every game, he's turning the ball over. That is true. Most games. But he's going to give you 2 passing touchdowns. He's not afraid. He plays with zero fear. So when it comes to miscommunications in your secondary, that man will take advantage of it. Yep. But there'll be times where he will cough up the football, and Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch will have an opportunity this week. So your guys' thoughts on just Jordan Love. Listen, I'll say this. If the secondary starts off how they did early in that game, you're going to have some issues. And even if it's raining, like I get that it could affect things. But still, it's going to make this game a lot more interesting. And we'll get into that matchup, of course, the rain and how, who could take advantage of it. But just with Jordan Love, you cannot start off the game like they did against the Titans. I mean, Mason Rudolph and Calvin Ridley, we said this last week or earlier this week, looked like damn Joe Montana and Jerry Rice for about a quarter. So if you're going to allow that to happen here, it's not just, Calvin Ridley. We're talking Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, like a plethora of weapons, guys that are, like you said earlier, Caleb, all like wide receiver 2s that can still cause some problems and cause some issues. They can't start like they did last week. You don't want to be in that type of game with the Packers here. You just don't, because of what they do defensively, but offensively, they're way more explosive than the Tennessee Titans. So Jordan Love, man, even if he's banged up, maybe the mobility will hurt a little bit, but that dude, he's I would rather play. I mean, and for people that even mention it, like Malik Willis or Jordan Love, I'd rather play Malik Willis, obviously.
Obviously Jordan Love's better.
But Jordan Love is the best quarterback they faced since week 1, Stafford. This will be the first or second, however you want to rank it. But the top 2 was week 1 and now with Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Jordan Love stuff, it's like when you play those types of quarterbacks that can sling the rock, and you just have to find a way. Like we talked about it, I think a couple of days ago. Like quarterbacks, at some point, especially if you're not having a ton of success getting pressure on like a quarterback like Jordan Love, which honestly, it might be the best week to play him, because if he is coming off of a groin or whatever the injury is, obviously it takes the mobility down a little bit to where he might not be able to move as well, especially in the rain. So it helps you out. That like is part of helping the pass rush. But like we've seen quarterbacks like, dude, we've seen Nick Mullins throw for 450 on the Lions and they still win the game. Like you have to just find a way. I think it's the turnovers, like finding ways to force Jordan Love to make tough decisions. And I think you could say that comes from the secondary and the linebackers and like those guys. Like I think there's a sense when you go up against a quarterback like this now with the Detroit Lions, you don't have a pass rush. And I'll say it a million times, you have to find ways to get pressure or to put Jordan Love in a weird spot when it comes to different coverages with Anzo and Amik. And I know Iffy's not back, but Kirby and Brian Branch and those guys, like you have to find ways to put them in a weird spot. And yeah, if you guys listen, like I wouldn't be shocked if we got done Sunday and Jordan Love has 350, 400 yards and the Lions come away with the win. Like, and that's if there's no rain. Like I think that there's rain, it's going to be a big a run heavy type of game. But I would not be shocked. Would not be shocked if you sit here and you're like, hey, he has 375 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also has an interception, maybe a fumble. And the Lions had 2 turnovers to their 1, and the Lions won the game by a touchdown. Like that's how I envision this going with the team like Jordan Love and the Packers in that offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been saying for the past couple of weeks, like if we can't get after the quarterback and we're losing in man coverage, good quarterbacks are going to tear us apart a little bit. Mason Rudolph and Sam Darnold are, no disrespect, are not very good quarterbacks. Well, Sam Darnold, I don't know. There's an argument, a little controversial there. But Jordan Love is better than those 2 guys, hurt or not. However, interceptions, you guys familiar? Jordan Love likes to throw a lot of those. And we have 2 ball hawking safeties that I think both of them have a chance to get an interception in this game. And I think, Peter talked about, Goff's tiny hands and, fumbling, whatever. I think Jordan Love has a better chance of throwing a couple interceptions than Jared Goff does of fumbling in the cold weather. So if we could beat if Jared Goff could beat Jordan Love in the turnover battle, I think the Lions come away with a victory, even if Jordan Love throws for 350 yards, like Booner said.
Yeah, I'm curious about the weather. I think that's going to play a huge factor. Like that's going to mean, even intercepting or just simply coughing up the football. Like that's where, to his point, it's not just Jordan Love, but it's Goff. Like fumbling the ball here in these type of conditions, you just cannot do it. You just can't do it. At least Goff makes better decisions in the passing game. He has obviously Jordan Love has 15 TDs, but 9 picks. Yeah. So, well, let's bring it.
Take advantage of it, man.
Klotz, how we doing?
Test. Does it sound any better?
Hold on. It sounded better at the end of it.
All right. Okay. Boone, give me the honesty here. How does it sound? Give me the honesty, Boone.
I am always honest. I'm never gonna not be honest. We can hear you. It's not like it was at the start. We can see what the chat thinks here. How they think. It sounds like you're in a spaceship, which I think. I mean, if you put your background like you're in space, why don't you get a space background and it'll really fit the part? I think you need to go get a space background.
Hold on real quick.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's just it's way better than it was before.
Yeah,
it's just obviously for us we're more picky than.
You sound. I think you sound
better now.
Yes.
Yeah, sound good. Yes, whatever you did.
Yes, whatever you just did. Leave it.
Can you get yourself? I don't want to be that guy. Why don't you get yourself a space background?
Yeah, no, the background. I don't know what the background did. You put it on and it just started sounding like crap. I don't know what happened.
I was trying not to crash out. I'm not gonna lie.
Not on Halloween, dude. Yeah, Halloween's one of the best.
Happy Halloween, fellas.
One of the best days of the year. I don't know what I was going for there.
Holiday? Did I say holiday?
He took
Bam. Bam.
Well, hey, we're talking. We were just talking about Love. Love playing this weekend. Kind of the
Jordan Love. That is not just like the thing. Love. We're talking about Jordan Love.
Yeah, Jordan Love. Okay. And I know what Klotz. We were talking about it. The secondary can't start off like they did last week. I mean, if they do with these weapons, and I know you got your impact, your Klotz's watch list later. But what do you make of a banged up Jordan Love in some bad weather? How much fear does he put in your eyes, Klotz?
I think Jordan Love, the thing is, he could throw for 400 yards or for 200 yards. It doesn't matter. You need to get 2 turnovers from him, regardless. And I think that's very capable because what he's been doing in the past. He's been making tons of plays, but he's also been turning the ball over. With this run game, to what mind blanking on the guest that we just had on,
Peter.
But he was saying to the Lions, what Peter was just saying, like the Lions, you can't stop the run game. So if Jordan, I really don't see Jared Goff turning the ball over more than once in this game, regardless of the weather, just because I do think with this run game, they're going to be able to lean on it so much. And they're saying the new defensive coordinator in Green Bay, he has not seen an offensive coordinator like Ben Johnson. You see what happens when the teams like Green Bay finally play a legitimate team like the Lions so far. When those teams finally get tested by the Lions, they fold. I mean, this was a Green Bay team. Jordan Love went into Minnesota or hosted the Minnesota Vikings, and they lost. It was a close game, but in the first half, they got torched. If that happens against the Detroit Lions offense, which is better than the Minnesota Vikings offense, kiss it goodbye. Like the Lions, I think they're just going to run the ball with no Jamison Williams. Yeah, the Packers can play more one high safety. The Lions are still going to be able to run the ball. That's just the end of the day because the Lions were beating the Packers when they didn't have Jamison Williams because he was suspended and or hurt, and they were still winning those games. I respect what Green Bay is doing. I think they're a top 5 team in the NFL, but right now the Detroit Lions are hotter. And I don't think they're the ones with pressure on them in this matchup because I think the Packers and Lions, same record. Or no, I think Green Bay dropped one more. Either way, very similar teams. Like I said, both top 5 teams. They're on the road in Lambeau, and this is a team without Aiden Hutchinson. So when you look at this Packers offense, you think that they should have the advantage. So the Lions are the better team, but I don't think they're playing with the pressure on them. So I expect the Lions to show out.
If the weather is as advertised, like it's crappy out, wet, the Lions are the ones that benefit the most from that. Like, even though I get that Josh Jacobs and the Packers always have a good O-line, but the Lions, it's not just the number 1 O-line in the league, like Peter even put, but it's the backfield, like the change of pace. Like this is a David Montgomery type of game because of especially this type of weather. He's more of that physical back. And then you got Jameer, who even in rain can still take it 60, 70 yards, breakout run. So, I mean, if it is this type of weather, I mean, the Lions can get this thing done just on the ground. You just got to, maybe it'll help you a little bit just controlling the time of possession there. But we got some real quick. Oh, hold on.
Donation.
Yep.
We got breaking news. Oh, there we go.
Vision Stealth, appreciate the $5. This Paw Patrol costume. No wonder that dude has bad takes. Well, Vision Stealth, we appreciate you for the.
We appreciate your donation.
Yeah, Hugh Jasmine, the $20. Thank you, Hugh.
Whoa.
Vision Stealth and Hugh showing some love. He says we're gonna get that cheese wet this weekend, boys. Hold on, Hugh. That's a wild statement, but you know what? You're absolutely right, Hugh. You're absolutely right. We're gonna.
I prefer a wet cheese rather than a dry cheese. Those dried cheese that just like crumble. I can't even. You know what I'm saying? Like those hard cheese that you just try to slice and you got to like powder them onto the cracker, and they're always like super like bitter.
I mean that's
the worst cheese on earth. It's not even cheese. That's when they say like cheese is edible mold. That's when you can tell that cheese is edible.
I will say we hate the cheeseheads this week. I am a fan of cheese. Do like a good cheese.
Yeah,
it's the corniest thing in all of football is the cheese head. There's nothing cornier than the cheese
I would love to get one by Sunday. If anyone knows where I can get one. I mean, I don't want to tell what my plan would be, but I would like if I can. You got one for me, Jeff?
I got one for you.
Is it one that
I got some family in Wisconsin, and they sent my my mom, and she gave it to me. But it's a cheese head to troll, like basically.
Can I please have it?
You know where it is? It's in the storage rooms, just collecting dust as it should be.
Can I ask to have it, please, for the weekend,
dude,
and then I will.
It's not. No one's gonna just get rid of it. Yeah.
Okay. No, that was my plan. Was I have some ideas in my head of things that I would like to do with the cheese head. If I could not borrow it, but just keep it, and then I can reimburse you if you would like another one.
No. Just destroy
Thank
it.
you.
Hey,
how about that? There we go,
just get it out of my sight. Put it out of its misery.
Boone has dibs on that thing because I have some things for it.
Yeah, like Detroit Grit said, just melt it.
I have some ideas, Detroit Grit. Don't worry, something's going to happen to that cheese head.
Just get it out of my sight, honestly. But the one thing that he did kind of mention, and you talked about it, and you asked him about it, Boone, was the Josh Jacobs part of it. This run defense, guys, and I started just kind of doing some numbers. I started crunching some numbers. I want to show you guys some of the numbers I was crunching. All right, and I know this is Tigger talking. I want to show you some of the numbers I've been crunching here. All right, because the run defense since Aiden went down, Lucas, you nailed it. All right, you kept harping on that when Aiden went down, like the run defense. I have the data here since Aiden went down, and will it stay like this? I don't think so, but you can't deny that it is a trend. Let me just put this on screen here. But this is the run defense before Aiden went down, first 5 games of the year, 416 yards, 4.16 yards per carry. Okay, so that's the run defense before. Last 2 games, 297 yards, 5.60 yards per carry. So in terms of the run defense, the last 2 games without Aiden, you already don't have Davenport. Teams are running to the edges, and Muhammad, even though he played well rushing the passer, he's gonna have to get a little better against the run. So I mean, look at they're about 100 and some change yards short from the first 5, the last 2. Like that's pretty significant. 5.6. I mean, every 2 carries they're getting a first down. Like that's essentially what this is. So your guys' kind of thoughts on the run defense bouncing back, and they're facing, I think I guess you can give the nod to Aaron Jones, but the best running back of the last 3 games, unless you want to say Aaron Jones, then the second best. But they're facing a very good running back and a very good O-line.
Very good. I mean, guys, one thing I was thinking about today, just looking at this year, the Lions already have 3 games, 3 of their last 4 games, over 130 rushing yards they've given up. 133 versus the Seattle Seahawks, 139 versus the Vikings, and 158 versus the Tennessee Titans. Like those are big games. Like I think last year, I'm looking at it right now, last year's game logs, once over 130 versus the Bears, actually both times versus the Bears, and versus the Ravens. Last season, out of 17 games, guys, only 3 times did the Detroit Lions give up 130 rushing yards. They have done it in 3 of the last 4 games. Like, that's massive. That's not good. And I think there is a sense, maybe it is the Hutch injury, or maybe they're trying to figure out different ways to, as dumb as it sounds and as crazy, like their schemes are more focused on the pass rush, and they're not set up to stop the run as much as they have been in the past. So I don't know what that is with AG. I don't know if it's the players. I have no clue, but I will say to the people who say, well, it's not that big of a deal. Like, guys, like 3 of the last 4 games, the Lions have given up over 130 rushing yards. Over 130. They did it 3 times last year. 3 times in 17 games. So it is something to keep an eye on, especially. That was why I asked the question to Peter, because Josh Jacobs, as much as some people might not like him or hate him here in Detroit, he has been good this year. And even last week, he had 100 plus rushing yards last week, and multiple times this year. So he is a threat that you have to be able to contain a little bit, because typically, guys, you stop the run, and that's why, like, we've been able to give up so many yards to these receivers or as well as these quarterbacks, is because, like, you're stopping the run. So you turn a team one-dimensional, and you're able to focus on that and bend, don't break. But now if you're giving up the run, once you face a team like the Green Bay Packers, it does make it a little harder. Like, it definitely does make it a little more difficult defensively. So you know who it is? You know who I'm going to say it's big for? I'm going to say I'll say 3 or 4 guys. I think that interior there, like if they're running inside, and I'm sure Josh Jacobs are going to try and bounce them outside sometimes, but between the tackles, like when it comes to DJ Reader and Elite McNeil, those guys have to be absolutely stout, like, and just like boom, bam, bam, you get it? Ha. And then I think like Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone, like those guys have to be able to make tackles, and Brian Branches and those guys who are coming in to help stop the run, and Meek Robertson, like Terrion Arnold, when something bounces out your way, make tackles. That was something last week. You missed some tackles, and you can't have that. Like, certain guys have to step up, and you have to make tackles, because I think that's been a thing as well the last couple of weeks. It's just missing tackles that are right there in front of you to stop the run. So I think it's important by those guys. Like, hey, let's get back to where we were, who we are, and what we're about, huh? That's what this Detroit Lions defense is about, stopping the run. When national media talks about the Detroit Lions defense, every time I hear them the last few weeks, they talk about their identity. They're top 5 in stopping the run in the NFL. You haven't been that 3 of the last 4 weeks. Get back to it. Get back to your identity. All right.
Yeah, you got to do it, Boone. And in my opinion, I think some of it could be scheme, but the majority of it is the scheme because of the lack of Aiden Hutchinson being there. When you look at this run defense, and I see people in the chat saying it's not a big deal. Well, it is, because when you start playing elite offensive minds like Matt LaFleur, and then you have CJ Stroud coming up next week, guys that can be able to make plays and not turn the ball over, being able to run the ball against the Detroit Lions is going to be huge, because it keeps Jared Goff and that offense off the field, and they have to put drives together more quickly. But as far as the defense goes, I mean, when you think about setting the edge on a run game, because it's been through the edge where they've been getting attacked. It hasn't been up the middle. There hasn't been many big runs in between the tackles. But setting the edge, think if the edge is here, and you have everything flowing this way, and Aiden Hutchinson stopping it. Now all the traffic is flowing through this way. But when you have Josh Pascal or James Houston, that edge is drifting. So now you have Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell. They have to keep going at different angles. So that's why you see more missed tackles, more yards that they're breaking outside of contact. Like with Aiden Hutchinson, he sets the tone for this defense in the run game, and the defense or offensive coordinators are going to have to game plan in the run game. Hey, how can we make Aiden Hutchinson's life more difficult? Because you can't really double team a lot of times in run games because you got to pull guards and et cetera. Like there's a lot of pulling going on. It's hard to double team consistently. When you have no Aiden Hutchinson, they're like, okay, where can we just exploit this defense as a whole? And it's on the edge, and they don't have depth there. When you have missed tackles like has been happening, it's going to be an issue when you play these elite offenses, like I said. So it might not seem like an issue to some people right now, but when you talk about Texans, 49ers later on the season when CMC is healthy, like those are going to be games where you're going to wish you had a guy that could stop that. Then hopefully they get one, but it's not going to be the tier of Aiden Hutchinson. So I still think that this run game, it's not going to be always like this, but it's going to be annoyance when you play good teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a big issue. I think they're losing their identity as a defensive line, and it's kind of hard to watch. Obviously, the loss of Aiden Hutchinson is very glaring, but we used to, we give up 400 yards passing, but still only hold teams to 20 points and win by 14 or 2 scores or whatever, was because we were stopping the run. Look at the Lions offense and why it's so effective is because they can get 5 yards a pop and then you could play action because the defense is always worried about the run. Like Lukas said, like these offensive minded coaches like LaFleur and, Shanahan, all of them, they're gonna feast off of the Lions defensive on the Lions defense if we can't stop the run. So, we're losing our identity as a defensive line, and we got to find a way to stop the run again because right now we're not.
No, and by the way, quick update, because this applies to next week's game, but Will Anderson just suffered like a pretty significant injury.
Yeah, he came off the field. I think it was maybe a knee or something from the way he was walking.
They've already lost Stephon. They don't have Nico, Will Anderson. That Texans game looking a little different. For
sure. I think it's kind of like this week. Like I remember we were doing the stream and I saw Jordan Love get hurt. I was on the TV on the side and I was like, "Lions are gonna win that game now." Because you guys' point, like Jordan Love can still throw for 400 yards, but even if he's 100% healthy and the ankle isn't bothering, yes, it is. And it's like when you have the mobility that he relies on, like they're still going to put pressure, especially on the interior. AG's going to send the house and get him uncomfortable. There's going to be even if it's two plays that the throw is going to be off or it's turned over, that ankle is going to definitely show up during the game. And if they don't play him, you got Malik Willis. Well, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, apparently he's back in the game, Will Anderson. So,
according to our source, Diggity Dog.
Yeah, very reliable source. Yeah, for a second there, I was like, wow, that's pretty significant. I just read it online. Everyone's reporting, it limped off, serious leg injury, but I'm not watching. So if he's in the game, then never mind. Take everything I said, just throw it in the trash. We got a new segment we're going to debut today.
Yes, sir.
Klotzy, a.k.a. the ball knower, he, very good at breaking down the game. Okay, he's very knowledgeable about players that sometimes, quite frankly, we don't really care about. But he knows these players like the back of his hand. He's going to give us some players this week that Lions fans are going to know, potentially, maybe not, maybe so, that could cause some issues for the Detroit Lions. But Klotzy, it is time for the
good luck, brother.
Ever edition of the Klotz watch list. All right. This is, you know what? The Klotz watch list. And Klotz, yeah. I'm going to get this out for you. I'm put on some tunes here because I think, we just need some good vibes here while we're doing this. Let me get on some tunes. And then I'm just going to let you cook here. So, Klotzy.
Let's see it, Klotz.
Who should the Lions and Lions fans be looking out for this weekend? Let me get it up. Talk to us, Klotzy.
All righty, fellas. And Peter already brought up a couple of these guys, but I think with the Packers, there's going to be some more notable names because I think it's a more important game, and I think a lot of these guys aren't being talked about enough because when you think of the Packers, you think Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Rashawn Gary, Jai Alexander. But for example, Xavier McKinney is the best safety in 2024. I think that Brian Branch is a better player, but who's playing better right now? It's Xavier McKinney. And Jeff, I don't know if you remember, but when the Lions drafted Brian Branch, I said he reminded me of two players, Tyrann Mathieu and Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney leaving the Giants defensively was the same thing as them losing Saquon because what he brought to him. Xavier McKinney is a prototype and just a copy and clone of what Brian Branch is. And each game this year, besides two of them, he's had an interception. Not only that, but he's only allowed 7 receptions. He has 2 tackle for losses and 34 tackles. Now, you put that in perspective to a guy like Brian Branch. Brian Branch, 4 interceptions, so that's great. McKinney has 2 more. And McKinney has only allowed 17 receptions. Brian Branch has allowed 17. So when you talk about Xavier McKinney in coverage, he's like that. And he's also playing in the box. He's got about 500 snaps, and 160 of them he's in the box, and then there's about 40 more where he's in the nickel. Majority of the time he's lined up in free safety. But what we were talking about earlier when it's talk about the Packers can bring down another safety, and you can just leave Xavier McKinney back there because he's just a very instinctual player. And he's a guy that when you talk about, can he man up on Amon-Ra St. Brown? Absolutely. Can he man up on Sam Laporta? Absolutely. If you go back when he was in New York, whenever they played the Giants, whenever they played San Francisco, he was always covering that big-time tight end. He's not as big as them, but he's extremely physical, and he's just good in coverage. He's very sticky. Another Alabama defensive back, Nick Saban guy. Xavier McKinney, probably the best defensive back in football this year. And then Tucker Kraft, guys. I kind of been trolling it a little bit, but Tucker Kraft, again, he's not a top 5 tight end, but he's playing like it this year. This guy is 6'5", 260 pounds. He is a unit.
That's a big boy.
That's a big boy. And what have we been talking about lately with this Detroit Lions defense? Missed tackles. And when you look at what Tucker Kraft has been doing, he's right now, like I said, he's averaging 53 yards over the last 5 games. So you can think, oh, that's not that much. But when you add it on to Josh Jacobs, when you add it on to Jaden Reed, when you add it on Christian Watson, and you look back at the big games with the Detroit Lions that they've had, tight ends have killed them, especially on 3rd down. And the thing is with Tucker Kraft, he's 32nd in yards per target. He averaged about 4.4 yards per target, but he's 1st in yards after catch. So he breaks tackles. He's a big dude, but he's very athletic. He had like a 70-yard touchdown 2 weeks ago. And you're like, who the hell is this guy? It's Tucker Kraft. He's a dog. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be not going to lead the team in receiving yards. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year, but I don't think he's going to have that many plays in the red zone. But he's going to be a thorn in the Lions' side the whole game, in my opinion, just because you're going to think, oh, it's going to be a 4-yard catch, but it's going to turn into 7 or 8 yards and smooth the chains. And then they're going to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. He's just going to keep them in friendly field position. And especially if it's raining, Jordan Love hurt, they're not going to be trying to throw the ball down the field. They're going to be trying to just play a clean game. And I think with Jordan Love, who's probably going to play not if for whatever reason Malik Willis does, a tight end is a rookie quarterback or backup quarterback's best friend because they're reliable, you know where they're going to be, and they're just very consistent. And he only has 1 drop on the year. So when they throw to him, he's catching the ball. And finally, Boone, a guy that me and you harped on in the draft that's been very shaky, but after last week, he performed. Edgerrin Cooper, boys, 2nd-round pick out of Mississippi State. This guy's a problem. When you look at what he can do athletically, that's why it causes the most problems. Because when you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, you look at David Montgomery, Edgerrin Cooper is extremely physical, and he can fly around the field. And I know I hate PFF, boys, but I just threw this in there just because I was looking.
Ooh, he's got a PFF stat.
I think you're voided from all PFF stats.
Yeah,
Every time I say PFF, you
for the
discredit
legitimacy
me.
of how much you guys brought it up, I was like, you know what? Let me go see because
it's okay for you now. You discredit me every time.
Yeah, we're gonna use it here because
your segment. I'll back up. Your segment. Go ahead. My bad.
For context here, Xavier McKinney's played 500 snaps. Edgerrin Cooper's played 200, so he hasn't been on the field that much. But as the season's gone on, he's played more. He has 3 sacks in the. Let me see how many snaps he had. It was about 210 snaps. So in those, and he is the number 1 rated linebacker at getting after the quarterback. Number 1 rate in PFF terms at getting after the quarterback. And just like we were talking about again with Xavier McKinney, you can keep him back there. We talk about the Packers trying to put more pressure on Jordan or on Jared Goff. They're going to be sending Edgerrin Cooper at Jared Goff, and he's a guy that he just pops off the screen because he's just an animal. Like he's going to be the future of that linebacking core in Green Bay. He just got to get some twinks figured out in the coverage game. When you look at him last week, there was a throw where he was at the line of scrimmage right above the center, and Trevor Lawrence unloads a 50-yard bomb to Christian Kirk, and you just see Edgerrin Cooper tracking the ball, PBU. And it was like 40 yards down the field, so the man can just cover ground. I think when you look at this defense, the Lions, they need to control the middle of the field, especially without Jamison Williams. That's what they try to do. They try to control the middle of the field, be able to run the ball, but through the play-action game, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Khalif Raymond, that's in the middle of the field. Edgerrin Cooper and Xavier McKinney, that's what they control. I don't think Edgerrin Cooper is going to be a guy that's just making impact plays throughout the game, but I think there's a good chance that he leaves the game with a sack, a TFL, and he could get a couple of one-on-one tackles on a guys like Sam Laporta, and you see him running with Jahmyr Gibbs. So I think these are the 3 impact players. I do not know why I said twinks. I meant tweaks. But we're gonna ignore that. But these are my three: Xavier McKinney, Tucker Kraft, and Edrin Cooper. Those are my Klotz's watch list for this week, fellas.
Nick Klotz.
The man combined Twinkie and Kink in his first ever segment. How about that, Klotz?
How about it?
What an accomplishment.
Freaks come out at night, Booner. Huh?
Hey, it's the Buzz. It's a lot of things. It's the aura. I think it is. But Klotz, I think these are three fine additions. I don't know. I haven't really gotten to see like Edrin Cooper. I know we talked about him like pre-draft for the Lions, and you like love this dude. I mean, you harped on him for months. Is he like he's more of like a run to like how is he in coverage?
He's a strictly an in the box linebacker.
Okay.
But when we talk about this game is going
like
to be
the run
rangy, it's going to be
yeah.
Like when you have a guy like Edrin Cooper, he's someone that I think when I look at the Packers defense, if I'm on the Packers side, I'm comfortable with him trying to make a one-on-one tackle with David Montgomery. He's just a very physical player that flies around. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time. And then you talk about sending after Jared Goff. He's not the star of this defense, but situationally with this matchup and how things are playing out weather-wise, I think Edrin Cooper could have a couple wrinkles in this game where we're like, God damn it, that's a good play.
Yeah, Edrin Cooper for a rookie, like he's been very, very good for them the last few weeks. He's starting to come into his own as what I think everyone thought he was going to be, and you're starting to see it a lot more.
Yeah, Klotzy, our guest Peter, he compared Tucker Kraft to George Kittle. Do you think that's a fair comparison as a player?
I would compare him to like a more athletic. I mean, in my opinion, a more athletic Jake Ferguson. Like George Kittle's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but like Tucker Kraft's very good at run blocking. So is Jake Ferguson. But Tucker Kraft, I knew he had that 70-yard. Right, he's not overly athletic. Like George Kittle is an athletic specimen, in my opinion, for the way that he's built. And I don't think Tucker Kraft is that athleticism, but he's athletic. Like he's second, I think, behind your boy Kyle Pitts, Jeff. He has 24 catches on the year, but he's second in yards per catch out of tight ends. So you think about it, you have Kyle Pitts up there as yards per catch. He's kind of a more vertical threat as a tight end, and then Tucker Kraft's right behind him by like 0.1 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the type of game. I mean, like Anzalone, I put him as an impact player. Now it kind of fits the narrative a little bit for me because of his ability to cover tight ends. Yeah,
Enzo and Jack Campbell.
Yeah,
they got tackle.
And Klotz, you know how I feel about Xavier McKinney too. I already told you that.
Yeah, he's a bigger name. He'll probably be the biggest name that I'll throw on here throughout the year. But it's just I don't think he's getting enough respect because we're spoiled with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. That when you look at what Xavier McKinney's doing right now, like usually when players are playing the way that he is, like there's a lot more talk about him going on because like think about when Deron Bland went on that spree where it was like an interception every game pretty much. And like
but Xavier McKinney is not doing that. Like he's having a big year.
Well, look at Spenny. Spenny said Branch over McKinney.
Branch is definitely greater than McKinney. Yeah. Before you hopped on, Klotz, when you were going through this,
taking pound for pound, but as far as who's playing better this year, Xavier.
Yeah, McKinney. I would probably go. I actually before you hop when you were going through you're flying into space with that costume over there. I did compare stats. Xavier McKinney won NFL NFC Defensive Player of the Month, and I compared the stats between him and Brian Branch. And Brian Branch across the board has all better stats than him, which is I'm talking about over the last month. So like when you look at the last month,
I mean, he's been balling out the whole year.
Huh?
He's been balling out though. Xavier McKinney's been balling
out.
He
definitely has. But like Brian Branch missed. Brian Branch missed a game. Brian Branch over the last few games, the last 3 or 4 games,
and the bye week too.
And has been better than Xavier McKinney. Like when I pulled the stats up, Xavier McKinney had 4 games and Brian Branch had 3 the last month. And Brian Branch, every single statistic he was better in, including turnovers, forced fumbles, interceptions. The only one he's like 2 tackles behind or something like that. Like completion percentage, yards given up, everything. Brian Branch has been better. And Xavier McKinney, you say he had like, and this is what I texted you earlier. Like you're like he's not getting a lot of love. I mean, the man just literally won the NFC Player of the Month, not week.
Right. And usually my point was
NFL.
You usually hear more like talk around that. Like, and it's like Xavier McKinney. Like I haven't turned on,
but he's not as good at like Brian Branch is better. I think that's why. I think it's just like
Brian Branch is as an overall player is better, but I don't think. Like what you're saying about Brian Branch is true, but I don't think you just take that away from Xavier McKinney.
Well, no, it's. I mean, that's like with any player in the NFL.
7 catches all year. You still have a sack.
I
Brian
agree,
Branch
but
is-
like the way you're talking about it is like no one's talking about him. Like, no, it's like let's give it an example. It's like me being like Justin Jefferson's better than Jamar Chase. Or you're like, well, you're taking away from Jamar Chase. Like, no, it's just one's obviously clearly better. They're both still probably all pro players, but one is clearly better than the other. And I think that's like for me, Branch is better than Xavier McKinney. Like if you
agree
like
with
said
you that-
tomorrow who you take, give me Brian Branch 10 times out of 10 times.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. What I'm saying is just from now to, or from the beginning of the season now, Xavier McKinney has produced more. That's all I'm saying. I'm putting in that in context of like how good this dude has been this year.
Yeah. To a sense. I'll give you I'll give you that.
Because Klotz, you've been big on Brian Branch.
I
said Brian Branch at the beginning of the year was going to be an All-Pro. He could potentially have a better season than Nate Hutchinson. I love Brian Branch.
I just think there's a sense though, like you could say like statistically wise he's better, but like
that's all I'm saying.
Brian Branch, like he has played 6 games, and because he's had the bye and missed a game with injury, he's played 6 games, and Xavier McKinney's played 8 games. He's played 2 more games, and Brian Branch has more tackles on the year than him, is only 2 interceptions behind, has more pass deflections in 2 less games, has more forced fumbles in 2 less games. Like everything he has the same amount of tackles for a loss in 2 less games. Like you could compare the stats and be like, he's done more over this season. But it's like Brian Branch missed a game for injury, and the Lions already had their bye, which Xavier McKinney didn't. He's played in 8 games. 2 more games than Brian Branch. So it's like easy to be like, we can look at the stats, but it's like, all right, let's look at the stats for the year. Brian Branch has put more stats up, and not just 1 less game. We're talking about 2 less games. And the only statistic he has more than him is interceptions. And I guarantee you, if you give Brian Branch 2 more games, he'll probably catch up to Xavier McKinney.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right, we're on the same page here. All right. I love how we're coming together there.
Yeah. And you stated before, I know people are asking about like other players like Rashawn Gary. You're putting down here players that maybe fans it's not like Xavier McKinney you said might be the most well known, but mostly guys that can make an impact that you might not think off the top like right away kind of thing.
Correct.
So, yeah, like Edrin Cooper, Tucker Kraft, like those guys fall into that category. Taylor Decker's got to play better though. I mean, that dude this week, he's 2 back-to-back bad games. He's got a tough task with Rashawn Gary. And he's got a little bit of the memory still, from last year. I was in attendance. I got to see Rashawn Gary just bully him all game. Can't have that happen again. Just please. That's another guy that's like an obvious one. I
think this would be a get back game for Taylor Decker. He's a veteran. I believe he's a captain on this football team. This is his get back game. Tough matchup, but I think he'll play well.
Hey, Taylor Decker's going to be just fine. All these people talking about he's too old. Leave the man alone. He's not
too old, but it was the past 2 games were concerning. It's not like he was facing
career. He's had games throughout the season where, like I said it when we did the watch party, like Jared Goff has a couple of games where there's like, there's a little bit of a struggle here. I feel like that was like his bad stretch of football, and I would hope it's behind him after this last week.
Let me ask you this though, boys, because I do think that Taylor Decker, he's in a slump right now. Most NFL players do. Taylor Decker, it's usually with flags and holdings. It's not usually with letting up sacks. But when I watch it, tell me why I should think that this slump ends if it's continued with Arden Key, why it stops with Rashawn Gary. That's my question. And it's not even trying to be an asshole. Like
maybe it won't.
Things where it's Taylor Decker's been around for a while, but I'm saying over the last month, and it's strictly in pass coverage because in the run game, he's been very good. But in pass protection, as a left tackle, he's got to show me that he's going to get back on track. I think he will, but it's really hard for me to believe that it's going to be this week against Rashawn Gary, who in the past has just thrown him around a little bit.
Yeah, I expect
it's a fair question. Just because he's the. Go ahead, Boone.
I was just saying I expect Ben to have give me some chips from some running backs or some tight ends over there. That's my expectation.
Yeah, and then they were chipping Arden Key last week. He was still. They better figure that out. Rashawn Gary's a guy who can wreck a game, man. I mean,
yeah.
And we'll see. He's not going to drop back a ton, I don't think. I mean, if the weather's as predicted, I don't think he'll be throwing 35 times. So you might be better off.
18, I bet. That's my bet.
18. Yeah, if we're going
Okay.
18.5, like if just to turn into an over/under, I'd probably go a little over. Maybe like I'm right with you, Boone. I'm maybe a couple away. I think he'll throw like low 20s, maybe like 22, 21, something like that. Maybe get like a 16 for 22 type of game, something like that.
What were you gonna say, Caleb?
I was going to say, I just think Decker's, his bad performances have been so glaring just because he's the left tackle of an offense that's very dependent on the O-line. And, those struggles can really impact the Lions offense. So it's very important for him this week to turn things around. Even though it's a tough time to do it, I wish he would have done it that last week when he didn't have to face Rashawn Gary. But this is going to be a tough matchup for him, but I think he'll bounce back. Hopefully, I think he will bounce back.
I see this, fellas, like Ben Diesel. Guys, we're 5-1 in the last 6 games against the Packers, and we've had the best team we've ever had. We're going to smash them
By a million.
They seem to match up very well with the Packers.
Yes,
I don't know what it is. It's just like it is a great matchup on both sides.
And the one loss was just Thanksgiving, I think, which is we're cursed.
And Jordan Love was.
Yeah, we're just
That was
cursed.
First play of the game, Christian Watson bomb.
Then he threw that slant to Jaden Reed and was like right behind Brian Branch's ear hole. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
The Christian Watson bomb was right in front of me.
That was first play of the game.
Just an absolute. It was a dime. I'm not gonna lie. But the Lions,
we're cursed on Thanksgiving. That's a fact.
I really do believe, and if I'm in the building, I think I doubled the curse. So
good thing you won't be in this year.
No, I won't. Will not be there. They're gonna beat the Bears, so we'll be all right.
I love the fact that we have gotten to a point with Jeff getting actually like he can't go to Lions games anymore, or it's like they lose. Like I think that's incredible. Like for Lions fans,
it's unfortunate, but you know what? You got to sacrifice what you got to sacrifice. You know what I mean?
Well, good thing we have this.
No, every game I've been to, I think they've lost pretty much. I've been to plenty of games. They lost pretty much every time. Even the NFC Championship game, we were in Ford Field watching, and they lost.
Yeah, Caleb, there was a lot of people who I was getting texts from random numbers and phone calls, get Jeff out of the building. And I would say maybe in a little bit of a couple Real American beers deep, Booner was running through Ford Field with people being like, oh, Kool-Aid guy. And I'm ignoring everyone. And it's just, Jeff, get out of the building right now. We need to leave. And everyone's staring at us.
He's not kidding. Like I'm surrounded by Lions fans, and they're looking at me like
people are like, "Why is the Kool-Aid guy screaming right now?" And I'm like, we gotta go." I'm getting tweeted at. Like I was one of the most biggest. Like as the whole collapse is going on, people are like, fans are collapsing from the game and figuring out what is the Kool-Aid guy doing over here, screaming at the top of his lungs.
You gotta break the curse this year. You have to do it. Just for your mental and for everybody else to trust you.
This is not the year to test it out, Caleb. The man's staying out of Ford Field all season.
Last week would have been like the perfect game to do it. Not a great opponent. Just
I don't know. Though,
yeah.
You know what it would have been? Brian Callahan would have ran the ball at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
And it would have changed the dynamic of the game if Jeff was there. Yeah. For sure.
But real quick too.
Jeff in the stands and be like, I'm not fucking around. We're just running the ball. Tony Pollard.
Can we address Ben Diesel real quick? Ben Diesel, you've got to listen to the fellas, buddy. Like the Lions' run defense isn't as bad as you think, Booner.
Wow.
Listen, they might not be as bad as you think, but statistically, they've given up 130 yards 3 of the last 4 games. They did that 3 times last year, Ben Diesel. It's something that can get improved. I think if you ask anyone, it can be improved. Not saying it's bad because it's not bad. You're still top 5 or top 8 in the NFL with it, Ben Diesel. It's still one of the better pieces of your defense. Hey, sorry, Ben Diesel, if you're one of those guys that can't take any criticism. We're just pointing out the facts.
Hey,
and Josh Jacobs has run for 100+ times a few times this year.
There's something about you going off on Ben Diesel in a band.
There could be, as Schiff God said, there could be improvement. We can ask for improvement with our football team. We can, and yes, Steve Wiles, it is a top 10 run defense. I said that and stated that. But over the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've given up 130+ rushing yards. If you are going to sit here and look me in the eyes and say, that's okay. No, guys, they hold teams. The expectation for them, what they have done the last year and a half, is this defense will hold running backs to under 80 yards every week. I don't think it's a bad thing to just be like, hey, let's get back to that. Let's figure that out. And that's not a bad thing like that at all. You guys act like we're sitting here like going at it's not it.
No. And real quick, Boone, I just want to add this because I think you're doing a good job here. And it's not about you're saying they're a bad run defense. They're not. They're a
great run defense.
They've just regressed, which technically, if you're top 3 and you go to top 8, that's regression. That is all it is. It's not like all of a sudden they're the worst run defense in the league. All of a sudden we're concerned like they're going to get ran all over. No, but guys, and if you want to bring up the point, well, they got ran. The Titans got yards when they were already down by a lot. Well, what about the Vikings game? You got an explanation for that? Because that game was tight all the way to the end. And guess what? Aaron Jones was like 8 yards away from 100. So
and you're not giving up rushing. Like if you're
blowing
the team out, they're passing the ball.
Yeah,
they're passing it. It's not like you're giving up like the 130 yards. Is like no, they were running. They were getting 5 to 10 yards a carry last week. The Titans were with Tony Pollard. Like that was a problem.
Yeah, and I want to say too, like in this type of scenario, like in this type of game, guys, am I giving the Packers the advantage? No, hell no. If this game is it's wet, crappy as predicted, the Lions will have the advantage. I mean, they're going to be able to run all over the Packers. I mean, if we're being honest, this isn't like, oh no, the Packers are going to run the ball and the Lions won't be able to. No, hell no. Lions are going to run the ball for 100 yards here, guaranteed. And it's about what the Packers are going to do. And, we'll see. I don't know. I think Josh Jacobs, you have to respect him. He's top 5 in yards. What is he? Top 5, 6 in yards, I think, this year, rushing yards.
Like the Packers
and the Packers always got a good run defense, or offensive line. They always got a good offensive line.
The Packers are the number 4 ranked rush team in the NFL right now, and the Detroit Lions are 5th. So, I mean, when you look at their run defense, it's legitimate. So the Lions, they got to show up. But like you guys said, like the sky is not falling with the Detroit Lions run defense. If there's one thing that Aaron Glenn knows how to do consistently, it's stop the run. So yes, it's going to hurt a lot more with Aiden Hutchinson out, but this is not going to be a run defense that just falls flat on its face. But they might be giving up the 20-yard run to Aaron Jones or the 34-yard rushing touchdown to Aaron Jones and the 20-yard run to Tony Pollard like we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. Those are going to happen more frequently.
Yeah,
they almost never happened before.
Me saying they lost their identity as a defensive line in terms of stopping the run. They're going to find it. Aaron Glenn is a good enough coach to find it. We just lost our best fucking player who was great against the run, and Aiden Hutchinson. Of course, there's going to be some regression, but we have Lee McNeil, we have DJ Reader, we have guys. We're hopefully going to bring guys in. It's going to get better, but yes, it has regressed. Like last week, Tony Pollard's like, if we have a healthy Aiden Hutchinson, Tony Pollard is like I can't think of the word, like the perfect guy I could see getting 11 carries and 22 yards against the Lions.
A jag.
But instead he kind of tore us up a little bit. But, you lost Aiden Hutchinson. You're going to find your identity again in stopping the run, but it might take some time.
Yeah, and
Ben Diesel might be the worst chat like we've ever had. The man does not know what he's talking about.
No, don't say it.
Now you're being nasty.
I just don't like he's like they're not going to run for 40 times with Josh Jacobs again. Like no, like he hasn't ran for more than 25 times all year. The man has just been good this year. He's averaging almost 5 yards a carry, and you've given up whether it's garbage time or not. You're giving up bigger runs in the run game than you have in the past. So you have to find a way to stop Josh Jacobs this week. That's get back to your identity. You have one of the best run defenses in the NFL, and it's slipped up for a couple of weeks. Whether it was garbage time or not, it has slipped up. So you need to figure out how to get that back on track. That is it. It's as easy as that. It's not a smack or slight at the Lions. This is what it is. It's obvious. If people don't want to criticize it all, I mean, it's not all. No. The Booner path isn't always.
Hold on. This because I'm on your side. I just want to address like that. Okay, and again, Jeff, no offense. I mean this nicely. Watch tape before you comment on things like this. I fucking hate these type of people. Not you, but like watch the tape. Have I sat up here once this show and tried to explain why the run defense has given up more yards last 2 games? I'm not telling you what is happening. I'm telling you what data is showing. Right, the yards. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to argue with your point about the secondary's mental problems or missing assignments or being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not having that discussion. What I'm telling you is hard, concrete facts. The last 2 games, they've given up almost 300 rushing yards. That is a concrete fact. I don't care how you size it, how you frame it, how you tell it. And you're probably right. Your comment is absolutely right. But what I'm saying and all we're bringing up is the last 2 games. The run defense from what it was till now has slightly regressed. And if you disagree with that, I don't know what to tell you. No one is saying that, I disagree with what you're saying. It's the facts. 300 yards in the last 2 games. And what's the explanation for it? Well, you didn't have Josh Paschal last game. He's very important for that type of stuff. I hope he plays this game. Not having Aiden, I do think hurt. And when you have 2 guys on the edge like Muhammad and Isaiah Thomas, and they're playing a lot of snaps, that can, that's going to happen. They're going to run to the edges, and those guys are going to have to make some plays. That's fine. But yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not trying to sit up here and explain, dive into the tape. This isn't about tape. If you want to do that, go work for the Lions. They'd probably love you there to break down tape. What we're talking about here is just the simple fact that they've given up 300 yards in the last 2 games. That is it. Now, will they do it this week and give up 100 yards to Josh Jacobs? I don't know. I hope not. And I think Liam McNeil and DJ Reader certainly will help that out. But it's a fact. Whoever's on the edge, hopefully Josh can play because he really does help in these type of scenarios.
Yep.
They just, as a team, Josh Jacobs has to be respected. If you do not respect him, I don't know. Again, I don't know what to tell you.
And
Josh Jacobs is not a bad back. He isn't. And I know Lions made a lot of good backs look bad. But the Packers are going to want to run the ball, whether Malik Willis is starting or not. Lions have a challenge this week, man. Do I think they could pass it? Absolutely. But stating they have a challenge is not like, what are you supposed to say, Booner? Like, oh, Josh Jacobs is going to run.
Oh, no, he's nothing. It doesn't matter. We're good. He's not a good player.
That's where it doesn't make sense.
And to the people like Ben Diesel, again, you guys just look at stats. You don't watch the game. Buddy, listen, we literally have watch parties of us watching the game. We all sat there and watched together Aaron Jones get big runs on the Detroit Lions. Last week, Tony Pollard break runs free. We watch it, and we are live watching it. I saw Aaron Jones multiple times get an 8-yard rush, a 10-yard rush, a 30-yard rush for a touchdown. Things that the Lions, whether you think there's a breakdown in cover, this, that, listen, things that the Lions over the last 13, 14 games were not giving up, they have been giving up the last few games, whether that's because Hutch is out or Derek Barnes has been out the last few games. I don't know what it is. We watch every single game live. So it's no stat watching. It's literally, it's there. There are times and there are possessions. It might be a couple of games where they get garbage yards, but there are possessions like the first possession of the game versus the Vikings, 30-yard touchdown run by Aaron Jones. And then the first possession, I think, of the second half, they scored a touchdown. Aaron Jones, 8-yard run, 10-yard run, 9-yard run. Like, that's not stuff the Detroit Lions do typically.
Yeah,
like,
just uncharacteristic. That's all.
The last 12 to 15 games, the Lions have been one of the best run defenses in the entire NFL. The entire NFL. There has been a digression the last 4 games that good backs have found a little bit of success in certain drives to put them on the board. And you have to take those away. And you have to get back to your what you're about.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to sit there in the chat and call people out, you're going to get called out too, because you obviously only look at the good things and you don't like to look at the bad things.
No.
And he said they got that off an awful interception. Hey, Ben, guess what? The defense still had to step up and stop Aaron Jones, buddy. Had nothing to do with the interception. The defense still has to stop the run. Did they do it? No. I'm about to ban the man from the chat.
No, you're not doing that.
I'll
You're not
never
doing
do
that.
Ben Diesel, you've been here a while. I do respect it.
Yeah, and
Let's
again,
be
I
better.
don't even think.
If you're going to tell us to be better, you be better.
No, it's not even. I don't even think it's about like we're disagreeing. I think they even admit it. I don't even know what we're. I don't think we're even arguing anything. I think it's just simple nuance. Like I think Atur was saying how in the chat, like how I framed it. Well, okay, well I apologize for how I framed it, but we agree that's something to watch this week. It's just how they defend the run against Josh Jacobs and taking the ball away against Jordan Love. So, I mean, those are the 2 things, guys. Did you see also today, and I broke it down. I'm curious what the chat thinks of this whole thing because I saw some comments. Adam Schefter, when I get up and said that Zadarius Smith and Azeez Ojulari two guys to watch to be traded. Obviously, Zadarius Smith, we are well on board with. I can't believe I'm doing this in this costume. This is ridiculous. I'm actually sweating. I'm not going to lie to you. It's kind of hot in this thing.
My, bro. I'm burning up.
I'm doing good over here.
But what'd you think of the names and Schefter kind of reporting on it? Well, Aziz is a name I have not heard yet. I have not heard Aziz.
Who? And I'm mind blanking right now. Who's the guy who was just shipped to Kansas City?
That was Josh Uche.
Same type of player. But I think they've fallen out of rotation because New York's improved that front seven so much that they don't really need him anymore, especially when you have guys like Brian Burns on the edge. So he's a guy that has declined from his peak, but he can get after the quarterback. He's not going to do a sniff in the run game, but putting pressure on the quarterback, that's what he can do. And he's not going to be that much. You can get him from fourth for sure. So I like it.
Aziz, I think he's 24 years old. He has like 5 sacks in the past 3 games. He gets after the quarterback, but like Klotz said, he's not going to do anything for the run game. I probably like Aziz a little bit more as a name just because he's 24 years old. But I think Zadarius Smith would be the more likely and realistic option for the Lions. Just because he's a little older, the Browns really suck, even though they won. It might be Jameis Winston season. Who fucking knows at this point? But I think Zadarius Smith is the more realistic option for the Lions.
He's better against the run. That's what I'm looking for, fellas. Yeah. Aziz is not I think you kind of simplified it there, Klotz. He's basically Josh Uche. I mean, that's like
that's a great point.
Like against the run, he's like 6'3". He's kind of just a pure pass rusher, but Zadarius has actually been better against the run than him, like pretty significantly. So, and we were just talking about Josh Jacobs and whatever, just the run defense and how you can improve it. You bring in another guy who's very good against the run, in Zadarius Smith. So I don't know and I'll say this, guys, I'm just going to prepare everyone. If the Lions do not make any move at all, we're going to have a serious conversation. Like, I don't know where you guys are going to fall at. I don't know what the vibe's going to be, but I'll tell you one thing. You're getting a pretty pissed off Tiger. All right. You're going to get a pretty pissed off Tiger.
You're getting a pissed off clown as well. And I'll say this, and I don't think the chat will like this. Classy, I think you said it, so I might not be alone here. You look at the past Super Bowl winners, none of them, like the Chiefs, the Bucks when they won it with Brady. Like you look at this team, the Rams, none of them had a big glaring weakness like the Lions have at the edge position. And is that me saying if they don't go out and make a move, they don't win the Super Bowl? Yeah, that might be what I'm saying right now. You're not going to win it with the guys who have now, and Pascal's a good player, but he can't be your number. He can't be your go-to guy. He can't be your go get to the quarterback guy. You can't. Nowoski can't be a guy for you. He could be a rotational guy, but he can't be in there. Sorry, Boone, but I mean, I think you could agree. I don't know if he can. I mean, obviously, I think you can rely on your offense and your all-pro safeties. I think until the deep in the postseason where you're going to need to get after these quarterbacks, like we've talked about a couple times on the show. What happens when you play these mobile quarterbacks, like that could escape the pocket and move around the pocket? We might get shredded by teams like that if we can't get after them. So yeah, I guess basically what I'm saying is people could say I'm overreacting, whatever. But I think if we don't make a move, I don't know if we're hoisting the Lombardi.
All right.
Bam didn't like
go back to Caleb real quick.
He's got
there's a reason he's wearing that hat right now.
No.
Hey, come on,
Boone. Hey, come on,
All right, I apologize. Hey, the Lions, no matter what, you and Klotzy, Caleb, you two can go sit in a different room while they're in the Super Bowl if they don't make a move.
It's not like I'm
winning a Lombardi trophy no matter what. A Lombardi trophy's coming to Detroit.
Look at every Super Bowl winner they don't have a glaring weakness like the Lions do. This is a very easy move that needs to be made. This is a very easy move. Just go get one of these guys.
I agree with that, but I'll tell you what, this
Edge-
Lions team as
edge to the
is,
D.
they are 8th in the NFL in points per game allowed still. They find ways to stop teams, and they find ways to score the ball, and they are the best offense that we've seen in the NFL since Patrick Mahomes' offense back in 2018, over 6 years ago. So listen, they are going to have Jeff just disappeared in the middle of nowhere. They're going to have an opportunity to win the Lombardi Trophy, whether they make a move or not. Now, Caleb, this is where I will agree with you, and I've been on this the whole time. You have to still go make a move. Like when you won a Lombardi Trophy, and I think the better way, at least for me, that I like to go about it is to give yourself the best opportunity to hoist the Lombardi Trophy as you go out there and you go get yourself more players to give yourself a better opportunity. Can they do it without it? Yes, they're the best team in the NFL right now. They're number one in my power rankings, and they won't slow down anytime soon. Edge to the D. Give us an edge to the D, man. Come on. Get that thing trending until Tuesday.
Let's have a thought exercise, Boone, Jeff, Caleb.
Caleb, I apologize. I didn't mean to call you a clown. I love you, brother.
No. I just one more. I just want to say something off what you said. Yeah, like what did you say? We're 8th in points given up. Was that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
We gave up 29. Let's talk about the games without Hutch. 29 against Minnesota. Okay, 14 against a shitty Titans team, but 29 against Minnesota. I mean, you gave up a good chunk of points there. And look, if you're gonna sit here and tell me that you're gonna be able to beat really, really good quarterbacks in the playoffs with the edge rushers we have now, okay, that's fine.
But
I
was
disagree.
like when you look at the Lions, besides week 1 with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, they have not played a elite quarterback and offensive mind. And when you get into the playoffs, that's what you're going to be facing. When they did play the Rams, granted it's week 1, they won by 1 point or one touchdown in overtime. And if you don't have Aiden Hutchinson, you're not going into overtime with that game. Even when you look like Sam Darnold, and it's more so Kevin O'Connell and what he's doing in Minnesota. That game was too close, and I think there's going to be minds that are similar to Kevin O'Connell, like you have in Green Bay and Matt LaFleur right now, that have better quarterbacks that come playoff time. If you don't, I think, Booner, to your point, do they have a chance? Everybody has a chance when you're in the playoffs, at least when you're a contender.
Come on.
But
Let's not take that way out.
Get it done.
Let's
not take that way out.
You have a chance, but like there's a very I don't think there's been multiple times where a team is made to the Super Bowl with an elite offense that seems like they can't be stopped. And it's just they find that one defensive coordinator that's able to stop them once, and then on the other side, defensively, they just can't stop a nosebleed. And it's just that 1 or 2 possession that swings everything.
I will say I'm not going to argue with you guys about this because we agree with the same exact thing. And all it is, Jeff, throw it up there again.
Sorry, I gotta.
We agree on the same thing.
I gotta get rid of the green screen here. I gotta get rid of the green.
We all have the same opinion here. Bring an edge to the D. Give me Zadarius Smith. Go get someone. Just get anything to upgrade your pass rush, and you're going to be good. Like you're going to be fine. Like I think if I think right now that you are perfectly fine with where you're at now, I think you have to make a move. Imagine if you bring in a Zadarius Smith. Like you give yourself that much more of a chance. So I love it. I love it. Shout out Mitch Hughes in the chat too. He said Nowatzki partied at my place. I went to if no one knew this, I went to college with Mitch Hughes as well. We all partied together, had a good time together with Trevor and the fellas, man. Shout out Trevor.
You met Trevor Nowatzki?
Went to school with him.
Like you've talked.
I mean, yeah, we went to school. I think I was there my last 3 years there. I think we're his first 3 years there.
Oh no, I was genuinely asking.
100% I have. I know all the football guys. Good dudes, man. Football guys were fun. Good
Nowatzki. Hey,
shout out.
Big game, huh?
Shout out Mike. He played for the Ravens. Absolute dog. Shout out Nate. You guys know Nate. Well, I don't not personally, but Nate's my guy. Actually, Nate, he might be on the Packers roster currently. Actually. Haven't been able
I went to
Nate McCrary.
I went to high school with the Michigan long snapper. Shout out Greg Tarr. Great guy.
Greg Tarr. Sounds like a
great long snapper. Great
road tool. Greg Tarr.
Greg Tarr. That shout out. Big shout out, Greg Tarr.
Top rope, Caleb.
You know, I'll say this on the subject. All right. I've let you guys kind of battle it out. I'll say this. If they do not make a move, if Brad Holmes does not make a move, we're gonna have some problems. Okay, and we're gonna have and you guys are gonna want to miss that show. It's gonna be a massive show. No, I won't be wearing this costume, but you guys aren't gonna want to miss that show. I'll be upset. I will, because and it's not like, oh, Jeff, you're setting yourself up to be upset. No, I don't know. I think this team's the best team in football, and I just want them to, I don't know, get better. That's just where I'm at. And I know people in the chat agree with that. Whether, there's some people in the chat that are okay with a move and okay with not having a move. To me, it doesn't go both ways. If they make a move, great. I love it. I don't care who it is. Well, I kind of do. But if it's Darius Smith, I'm okay. But if they don't, I will say this, Booner, I'm not going to say like, oh, they can't win a Super Bowl because this offense is so great. But I would be lying if I didn't look at you and say my confidence level lowered, for sure.
You know what? I think that's fine, because the reason, and like, again, I go back to this all the time, is like the Booner path last year. It started because the trade deadline happened, and again, the goal last year all along was to win an NFC North and win a playoff game. When Brad didn't make a move, there were just so many people instantly, and this is what I don't want, like, I don't want my friends to do this, and I don't want. I've seen my friends go down this path. It's a bad path. I don't want Brad to not make a move, and then you to just hop off the bandwagon. I heard guys last year on air say the Lions weren't going to make the playoffs, weren't going to win the NFC North. It was done. The season's over. Pack it up. You needed an edge to be able to compete, and that's where it's like, take a step back. Like, let's be realistic. It's easy in the moment to be like, it's done. You didn't get an edge. But like, guys, we have a historically great offense right now. And whether you're like, oh, they can't keep it going or not, when you get in the playoffs, if they have this thing going, no one's stopping them. Guys, you're still top 10 in points per game given up. Like, you still are able to find a way. Even if you're the Minnesota Vikings game, the 29 points, fellas, like, one of the touchdowns was off a short field, a 30-yard touchdown from Aaron Jones. That was a short field. Another one was an Ivan Pace fumble return. That was a fumble from your offense. Like, that's 14 right there alone. And then the rest were all field goals, essentially. Like, this defense has been able to find ways to where it's like, you should still have faith they can win a Super Bowl, whether Brad makes a move or not. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you're like a little, like, take a step back and be like, I lost, like, say your percentages, you're like 60% right now, and it goes down to 58, 55. Like, that's fine. But like, guys, they right now are in sports books are the third favorite to win a Super Bowl without adding a player yet. Like, they are the third favorite without adding a player. With the pass rush they currently have, they are the third favorite to win the Super Bowl. They are the favorite to win the NFC North without the pass rush. So like, yeah, if they add it, you're probably going to be a first or second favorite to win the Super Bowl. But you're top 3 in the NFL right now. You're gonna be, if you don't make a move, you're probably still in the Super Bowl. And it's gonna be tougher to play against Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen in the Super Bowl. You could still get that job done. And with the offense that you have, you can go out there and beat them in the Super Bowl 42-35.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they can't win a. We all agree on the same thing, that they should go get someone. And I'm not saying they can't win the Super Bowl without getting one, but it definitely makes your road tougher. And why would you do that to yourself? I don't know how you guys feel, and this honestly might be a stretch, but this is not me telling Brad Holmes how to do his job, because he's the best in the fucking business, and I'm wearing a clown wig right now. But I think there's honestly a right move and a wrong move in this situation, and I think it would be right to go get one, and I think it would be a wrong and bad move not to go get someone. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, and do you understand the other perspective, Boone? And I know we've talked about this. I'm not saying you don't. Not the perspective of getting an edge, but when you bring up last year, I shouldn't say do you. You know this. Like, they had Hutch, and so it's like you had that comfortability. Like, that's why when people were freaking out, like including myself, it was a right move by you to be like, guys, chill the fuck out. They're fine. And they were. But do you get why this year it's like a little, you can't compare. I agree. I think it's justified this year to complain about not having an edge rather than last year.
I agree. Okay, I do agree with that. We had this conversation last week or a couple days before this Tuesday when we thought we were going to get someone. Again, like, Brad has upgraded every position group since last year as well. So like, now losing Hutch, but he has upgraded. Like, the safety room is even another year improved. The linebacking crew with Jack Campbell, a year improved. The interior, you added DJ Reader. The corners, both of your corners are better than your corners you had last year. So like there are parts of the defense that got upgraded. That's where for me, I'm able to look at it a little more and be like, okay, I get a sense of last year a little bit because you did have Hutch last year, which is big time. But like AG, even with Hutch, and then like he really didn't have the secondary you had right now with the corners. He didn't really have that interior outside of Aleem because Aleem got hurt down the stretch a little bit, and he was able just to find a way, like schematically, to keep you in the games. That's where it's like if that does come down to it, like I do have faith that AG is able to like scheme things up to figure it out. But again, I feel like it's like a bad conversation for me because I believe that there's like, and I said it before, there's like a 99% chance that Brad makes a move.
I think so too.
I don't think there's a world we live in where Brad doesn't make a move. So that's why I'm like that much more confident in winning a Super Bowl, is because it's like Brad will make a move, guys. Like it's going to happen.
So, because we're going to move on here, and I want to get your guys's, I want to show you guys the midseason awards that PFF put out and kind of get your thoughts on it. And we'll get to mailbag here, but I just want to say, I don't think any of us are saying that if you bring in like a Zadarius Smith, he's going to be the only reason you win a Super Bowl. It's not about that. I think what we're saying, and I saw some comments. I saw a turret in there. I keep mispronouncing his name. That's on me. Basically saying, and I do agree with him 100%. Key players in key moments making key plays. And we're not saying it's going to be Zadarius Smith, but what we are saying is you trust a Zadarius Smith on the edge rather than Isaiah Thomas and Al Muhammad. I mean, that's just the reality. You know what I mean? Yeah. You just trust him out there in that type of game to potentially make a play. Like, I think if you're talking about key players in key games, you're talking about Brian Branch. Like, you're talking about Kirby Joseph. You're talking about, maybe even Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, like Jared Goff. Like, but what we're saying is, especially with the depth they currently have, you would rather have a veteran who's played in some big games, played in, comfortable with that environment. So, yeah. So that's basically what it is. And I think he would even agree with that statement, but he's right 100%. I want to show you guys this graphic here, midseason awards. And this is crazy. PFF put it out, midseason awards. And we can kind of talk about anything you disagree with, maybe any other player you have over some of the guys that are currently on here. But Defensive Player of the Year award, midseason award. I mean, was there any doubt that it's Aiden Hutchinson? I mean,
it's ridiculous, dude. It's crazy.
I mean, it's wild what he is.
That is nuts.
You can see it, but these are the PFF midseason awards. MVP Lamar Jackson, Offensive Player of the Year Derrick Henry, which is crazy. Defensive Player of the Year Aiden Hutchinson. Offensive Rookie of the Year Jaden Daniels. Defensive Rookie of the Year Jared Verse. Comeback Player Joe Burrow, and Coach of the Year Dan Quinn.
What's up? Is Joe Burrow comeback player of the year? That's a genuine question.
Didn't he already win one?
Up all last year, dude. Like Joe Burrow, I know they're losing, but if you go back and I know they lost by 20.
He's been playing well. It's just a weird award for him.
Because it was supposed to be like a handoff to Aaron Rodgers, but you can't do that the way he's playing.
No, I guess I want to go look to see what other players are up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
Nick Chubb. Like if Nick Chubb has a huge second half of the season. Could see
that could be a one.
Push. If Russ keeps balling out, that could be one by the end of the year.
I like Russ as like a sleeper, but comeback, it's like,
yeah, I think Russ would be a really good one. I just think whether people think it's fair or not, I think comeback is like only if you were hurt last year.
Yeah,
like there's what about like if it was like performance, J-Mo would 100% be in that conversation. If he barely played last year and then he comes here and he fucking balls out this year and then he's an 1,000-yard receiver, like he would be in that conversation. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, because it's awesome seeing guys come back from injury. But I think it's if you get hurt last year and you come in and you play a good amount of games and play well, I think that's kind of what the award is.
I mean, MVP and Offensive Player of the Year on the same team. You guys see any problem with that?
Not at all, actually.
You guys, and I'm just curious because Lamar's my MVP, but when you're actually looking at it, like the most valuable player has the Offensive Player of the Year on his roster.
I get that, but it's hard. Like he's putting MVP numbers up, like he is having a big year, and it's hard to be like, no, he's not. Like he is. Like I think this is just like the Lions offense. Like this offense is just that good. Like Derrick Henry's having a career year. Like, and I was told all summer long, and in class, me and you, I always joke around. I'm like, the king. Like, don't ever talk about the king.
Hey,
And
I
everyone's
was
like,
all for King Henry in Baltimore. Don't make it.
No, you were, but don't remember that. Like, don't forget the comments that everyone's saying, like, oh, Booner, he's old. Like, he might not be the King Henry that we know, but he's going to be good there.
That.
Yeah, and now like he's this is the best he's been in his career. Like, the man is averaging like 130 something or 140 like yards per game. It's one of the more ridiculous things. He has. I think he almost already has 1,000 rushing yards. He might have 1,000 all-purpose yards already. He has over 11 touchdowns. Like, I just want to look at his stats. Like, he's having an incredible year. He has 11 total touchdowns, over 1,000 all-purpose yards already through 8 games. Like, it's incredible what he's doing offensively. So I don't think it's especially the MVP is like kind of down again this year, to where it's like anyone who just is playing very good can get it. To where in years past, there's usually like a quarterback that's just putting up insane numbers. I would say this is fine. Like, if that happened, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, you can't have that. Like, you discredit Lamar Jackson. Like,
Josh Allen's right there.
Yeah,
He's
Jared
right
Goff right there. I think it's a 3-man race for MVP right now.
But that his game against Houston is the only, like, the big reason I don't have him won. Like I think he has the doing more with less argument, but that game against Houston, 9 for 30 for 100 yards.
Tough.
Like, that's the only, like, Lamar has not really had like nowhere near as bad of a game as that. If Lamar starts to struggle and Josh keeps up the way he's playing, I would give the nod to Josh too. Josh, I mean, 1 pick on the year, 14 touchdowns. 14 passing touchdowns, 17 total, 1 pick. He's 4th in QBR, 11th in yards, 5th in touchdown passes, and he again 1 pick. Yep. Like, he's right there. And again, doing more with less. Most valuable player.
And
I mean,
kind of to support Boone with the Josh Allen narrative, I could not imagine the uproar that would happen if Josh Allen lost to the Cleveland Browns. Like, the uproar behind that would have been insane. Like, he gets killed for beating the Houston Texans and playing bad, but going into Cleveland and losing in a division game, that's huge.
But yeah, Stephen Clark is right. Going to favor the team with the best record overall. All right, let's get to, by the way, mailbag. If you guys want to drop any questions in there. Yeah, I think that all these other awards are pretty much correct. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse. What's he been doing? I haven't really checked in on Jared Verse.
He hasn't been like crazy, but he's definitely been very good for being, what was he, the 20th overall pick?
Yeah. You know who's been very good? And someone that we had coming out, I wish he, I don't want to say this now, but bad timing. Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah,
he's been playing well.
That dude's been very good, and he's good. He should be in the race with Jared Verse. That guy.
One guy I haven't checked up on is, how's Latu playing for Indy?
I can tell you right now. I know he has at least 1 sack.
Yeah, that was our guy, Klotz.
Verse has 2.5.
What's Latu got?
Let me look for you.
We were high on Latu. He's
still behind Quinnipiac in the depth chart, and he has 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, but only 9 tackles on the season. Jared Verse has like 27 or 29 one of the two.
So he's not playing maybe against the run. Not that great.
Yeah, because Quinnipiac, who they have, is good against the run. He can do both. Fair. They're probably letting him develop a little bit. He's got a big robe over there too.
All right.
My offensive or defensive Rookie of the Year isn't. He's having just a normal year. Dallas Turner.
What's Dallas doing? Honestly,
they don't even play him for real. Like, when they play him, he's good, but they don't play him.
1 sack, 4 total tackles, or 6 total tackles.
Yeah, he really hasn't played at all.
He hasn't done much. 6 games played in.
Wow. I mean, he got a sack in the opener.
Very complex.
And that was it. Yeah.
Tough. I thought he was gonna be good. They were saying it, like, there were people in Minnesota. I was reading things, and when we were doing our picks for the year, I was going, like, looking at, like, training camps and seeing, like, hey, how are these guys doing? Like, there are reports coming out of Minnesota training camp that he was better than Danielle Hunter. Like, he was about to be like the next big thing. And I thought I had one on you guys. Like, I was like, these guys don't see this.
Well, Boone, I think Jared Verse is still going to be very fucking good in the NFL. Like, I wouldn't say that. But at least he has more sacks than your guys' guy, Chop Robinson, who's a starter on the Miami Dolphins and has 0 tackles or 0 sacks and 5 tackles on the season. So he's just been a dud. So at least he's not that, Boone.
And I want to get to some mailbag here because we got some questions coming in. First one, we'll start off. Let's see, Patrick. Mailbag. Best part of being a Lions fan: the drought possibly breaking, being not nationally loved, the stigma, we are the worst ever. Oh,
Best part of being a Lions fan.
I think, I mean, I have a ton of pride being a Lions fan, like, and no pun intended, but I actually, it just, not only are we all from here, not from Detroit, but from Michigan. I for a while, it's been very rough. Okay. At least I know people much older than us that have it even worse than us. But the thing that I love the most, and I guess that's been the most like rewarding thing, and I get this is sports in general, and we're gonna get there with the Pistons again. All right, we're gonna get there with the Pistons, Caleb. But it's that just having the downs, and you're sticking by the team through the downs, you know, even though you're pissed off, and then the reward of now being like, yeah, we're the shit. You know what I mean? Like now it feels even better. Now it's trendy to be a Lions fan.
You're exactly right. Like that's how it was with the Tigers this year. Like them being so bad for so long, and then like all those videos I posted on Twitter and stuff, that wasn't like fake. That wasn't whatever. Like that was an emotional time for all Tigers fans because we were so fucking bad. Even this year we were bad, and you know the playoffs just meant so much. And that's the same for the Lions. Watch them every Sunday, being pissed off every Thanksgiving, family arguing with each other because everybody's mad about the Lions losing. It's different now, baby. Times are different. Detroit sports are on the rise. Wings, Pistons, get your shit together. But the Tigers and Lions, let's fucking go. There's going to be a championship brought to Detroit pretty fucking soon here. Sorry for all the F words, by the way.
What are we doing over there now?
That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
Hey, get fired up, huh? Let's go. Honestly, I think the best part about it is, like you said, Jeff, like my whole life, Detroit Lions have never won. So it's like no one, I mean, maybe there's a couple other franchises like the Browns or something that can say like they've gone through that. We've literally been the worst franchise for 30 years, essentially. And being able to go through that, and then starting to win, like no one can ever have that feeling unless you're a Lions fans. And I think that's what's so special about going through these moments. Like last year, the run, winning the NFC North and then winning the playoff games, the NFC Championship game, like, and especially like we were at Ford Field for the NFC Championship game, Jeff, and you could just feel like in the air, like all these Lions fans, 40 years, like never going to a Super Bowl in franchise history, and you could just feel that. Like it was like an emotional, they're up 17, you're like, oh my gosh, like it's unbelievable. So being able to go through all of that and then experience that, I think it's like, it means something to me.
It means something.
It means something to me now. Great video, Boone.
Yeah, I mean, it even, I mean, you mentioned the Tigers, but all Detroit sports teams like coming back into kind of relevancy. Hopefully the Pistons eventually will. Red Wings are taking some time. Tigers are kind of here. You guys ever go anywhere? You remember have some small talk? I mean, one time I was at some airport and there was a Vikings fan I was talking to, and I mentioned, I'm a Lions fan. You know what they did? They were like, Dan Campbell. Like, I love Dan Campbell. Like, that is so awesome. And they're a Vikings fan. They immediately were like obsessing over Dan Campbell. I'm like, you're damn straight. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm a Lions fan. Yeah. Now you have some like pride. Now everyone wants to be a Lions fan. It's kind of awesome. I love covering the team. It's so much fun. All right, we still got more questions here. I gotta actually get through here. Ed O'Neill, Mitchell playing better than Terrion. Yeah, no question he is. I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen stats like giving up one catch in like 2 games, like just insane stats from Mitchell. And their secondary has not been great, but Mitchell's been very good. Like target,
Don't sleep on Reed Blankenship now.
Oh, whoa. What is this?
Their secondary is weird. They got names, but for whatever reason, they
don't got any help in the linebacking core.
Is that what it is?
Stuck.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense.
Is that a chef's hat, Boone?
Dude, it's it's like a little.
It's like a golf hat. Like
this is awesome.
Nice, dude.
It's on the golf course, dude. This is sick. But it's a Flintstone hat.
Peter Manning, what would Goff have to do to win have a Steve Nash MVP season?
There's nobody being what Kobe wasn't Kobe going crazy that year too.
I think it's Shaq.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Shaq.
He stole it from Shaq, and Shaq's still mad. He's like, he got my MVP at his house every time.
I mean, that would be like what Lamar is doing right now. But I mean,
yeah,
the Lions. How bad did CJ Stroud's injury looks. I saw that he went down. If they don't have to play CJ Stroud, they somehow sweep the Packers, sweep the Vikings, and beat the Niners. Lions go like 14-3. I think that would do it because I think Baltimore with their defense, they're probably like a 12-13 win team. Line just got to be better record wise, and he's got to keep the numbers.
What do you think the numbers would look like?
I'd probably like 45 to 4,600 yards and like 32 plus touchdowns and like clean football. Like he's got to be playing he's got to keep playing how he was, except for last week, which isn't his fault. They're just killing him. But like how he played against Minnesota, how he played against Cowboys, like that's how he's got to keep playing the rest of the year.
Yeah, 14 wins, like 30 plus TDs, like under 10 picks, maybe like 10 max picks. And he has like 4,600 yards and the best team in football.
The thing that he can do, like he's just got his arm, his has to look better than Lamar's legs. Because Lamar, like throwing down the field, like he can make the throws, but consistently Lamar struggles throwing the football in tight windows. And Jared Goff, that's what he does best right now, the most accurate quarterback. So his arm just has to look a level above what Lamar Jackson can do athletically.
Yeah. That's fair.
He's going to win MVP.
Mitch says, how many head coaching jobs will be open, and what team does Ben Johnson lead on before he comes back again? I like that question.
Chicago. Probably Chicago.
Yeah, hopefully it is Chicago now.
I would say
leads on. How many jobs will be open? I mean, what do we got? Jags, Jets,
Raiders.
Pull the teams up.
I think Jonathan Gannon's keeping his job.
Yeah, he will.
Philly, I mean, it depends.
That's 4.
So
Ben Johnson went to Philly.
He wouldn't go.
Panthers.
Go to
I don't know how fast David Tepper.
Oh, we talked about that yesterday, Klotz. Disaster. If he went to Philly, not good.
Yeah. The Titans job potentially. I know these guys all got new coaches, but like the Jets is going to be open. Giants.
The Cowboys
will be open.
are going to be open.
Klotz, I said it yesterday. I think the Saints job's already reserved. I don't think Ben's going. I think that's an AG job.
I thought you were going to say that they're going to keep Dennis Allen.
No, I said yesterday. I think AG. I think AG gets that job. I don't think Dable's going to be a coach at the end of the season.
The owner came out and said that they were.
But I'll reverse Uno card you this. The owner also, the last 2 times they fired their coaches, people went back and looked. I think it was Dan Orlowski or someone pointed this out. The owner, before he fired those the last 2 coaches he had, within like a couple weeks before that, he went out to the media and said, "We're not firing and we're keeping the coaches." So it's like there's like a trend that when he says that, it's like, hey, you probably are gone soon.
But I will say I have a little more confidence just because Dable's better than the last 2 coaches.
Joe Judge.
I'm just, hey, if you're not winning,
that's your theory. That's fine.
If you're not winning, you're in a bad spot. The Jags is going to be open. The Raiders will be open. I don't know about the Browns. They're in a rebuild. I don't know if Stefanski. I know people love them, but
no, not Stefanski. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
No,
like
Stefanski should be fired.
Dallas. I think Dallas.
You think? Dallas. I agree with, but I don't know about Stefanski.
No, Ben hates Dallas.
No, not Ben. Opening.
Oh,
yeah. No, hell no. We talked about that yesterday, and we were talking Ben, or I was like, no way in hell that he goes to.
Hey Jeff, important message.
Oh gosh, it's like you guys ever see like the Secret Service, like they do the.
It's the bad signal.
That's what just happened. I'm like, okay, yep, Roman's talking. Okay, I'll be right back. Hold on, let me just see what I got here. What has he got? Oh no.
What?
Oh,
he said I did something.
Oh,
what happened?
No, Booner, are you like seated? Like, are you fine? You're not going to fall over or anything?
Yeah, I'm sitting, dude. I want to see.
I just want to make sure you're secure in the seat. All right.
What's going on?
This is Edge to the D. It's officially live.
That is unbelievable.
This is fucking beautiful.
Bow down to the GOAT.
Edge
Roman.
to the D.
We got to get that out on every social, all of our personal, everything. We have to get this out and going.
What?
Looks like a movie, like, you know, when you walk outside the movie theaters and they show the movies that are coming soon.
That is yes. Whatever you just said, yes.
I mean,
That
that
is-
picture, I don't even know. I don't even know where Roman would got that picture or where that comes from. But that is an unbelievable picture of myself.
You got to get that framed, Boone.
Yeah. I mean, I need this. I that picture right there. I need that. That needs to be my profile picture for everything. Roman,
Your
send me that picture of
wallpaper.
myself, please. That is unbelievable. I don't know where he got. I don't know where he got that. That's
The jawline. I've never seen your jawline look so sharp, Boone.
Bro,
I know, dude,
He
I-
kinda made
this
you.
is-
He might have edited like.
I don't care. Hey, I just want that. We're gonna post this graphic in the next 24 hours. That picture of myself, I would love that, Roman, if you have it.
Dude, Roman.
Boone's gonna post it with no caption on a Drake.
It's just like my
picture or a
picture.
Drake
Yeah.
song as the in the background.
That's funny. That's a great. I can't wait to post that.
I like how
Oh, we're
Roman.
putting that on everything. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. That
Can't wait till that drops.
Get that fucking
I'm
trending.
sweating, boys.
Get that. Yeah, I'm sweating bad. I mean, look at my hair. I mean, this.
I mean, we almost made it all the way through. You can't take
I
it
know,
off
but
now.
I'm getting like
Hey, we are technically 10:04. Little
We're
OT.
still live.
Little OT. Hey, shout out Roman, dude, the absolute goat. Love
Legend,
that
man.
So
So good.
yeah, we will go to war for that man. I mean, we will check out his new stuff too. We actually are posting the JMO edit. I don't know if the people see. You'll see that. Check our social
Oh,
media.
we've got some things.
That JMO edit he made is insane. But till
Sweet.
tomorrow, we got another guest joining. You guys will know him if you've been a loyal supporter for a while. You've seen this man on After the Draft from the Packers. Dusty Evely will be joining the show. He shredded Brad Holmes a new one after the draft.
Oh,
that-
yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
I forgot about Dusty.
and we're gonna see. we're gonna get his thoughts. Hey, he shredded the Jack Campbell pick and all this. It's great. It's funny as hell. We're gonna have him back on tomorrow, but in all seriousness, I'll kind of break down the game this weekend. But good shit, Caleb. Cool clown. I like the vibes today. I did. I thought you fucking crushed.
Yes, sir.
my guy.
Happy
but-
Halloween.
Hey, yeah, happy Halloween. That's what I'm talking about.
Happy Halloween,
All right, until
fellas.
tomorrow. Appreciate you all. Take care. Have a
Love
good
you
one.
guys. Happy Halloween.
Love you, Roman. See ya.